And live. Welcome back to another episode of the Otter Players Podcast. Third time's the charm because technical difficulties just never cease. Uh, as anyone
Yeah, it's
knows
on.
who does these. The Nintendo Switch 2 reveal happened this week, finally. Again, not held in a dark room somewhere by Nintendo, held hostage, and we can actually talk about it without having the Nintendo ninjas show up. PlayStation canceled 2 live service games, among others, in accordance with some happenings with Concord, and comments from Yoshida about the success of Helldivers 2 and his woes after retirement and talking about what it was like to work at PlayStation. But yeah, we'll go ahead and jump right into it.
Viper.
And
Viper's hilarious, man.
Viper is hilarious.
There you go.
False start 40-minute penalty.
But Weeb, go ahead and let the people know real quick what you've been doing, man.
A real quick. I mean, I had such a fantastic intro, and you didn't record it.
This dude is
I
murdering him with
don't.
empty.
Don't worry, I'm just gonna cut
I-
off Omar's intro and it'll be good to go. It'll save
Oh,
40
yeah,
minutes.
yeah. You're not even kidding. That's actually true. I'm good. A bridge version. Finished Space Marines 2. Had a great final mission, but overall, didn't change my opinion. Sort of, a bit repetitive, not hand holding in terms of, giving you lore exposition, and same thing I said last week. Played the trial version of Black Myth Wukong, and I did like it. It was not Souls-like enough for me to hate it. So I'll definitely try to play a bit more on the trial, and probably will pick it up, when this is the right price, the right time. And I started Metaphor, which you were all genuinely happy in the unaired version of this podcast. Now now you just have to fake it.
Now pretend you're not happy.
Oh,
Yay! Finally
yeah.
experiencing greatness. Uh, very early on, so I can't say for sure if I'm gonna like it as much as you guys do, but it has all hallmarks of Persona 5, so I'm sure it will be fine. And yeah, the only sort of critique I had was that the UI was a bit too flashy for sort of the setting, in my opinion, which fits the franchise, but it doesn't, like it to me. It was a bit distracting, but I'll probably get over it, or just have another shot of whiskey. So I'll survive. I hope I'll live alone probably, but I will. All right. Yeah, that's it.
Nah.
Mister gonna get drunk over here.
No doubt. Nelson, how are you, man? What have you been playing?
I can handle my alcohol.
Mostly Banishers, but obviously I didn't get to play a ton last week. I spent most of the week in the hospital, so
Yeah, hopefully.
not for me though.
Hopefully, good news on all that stuff. But I did see you playing Banishers. I mean, it's a long enough game. So how are you enjoying it so far?
I'm liking it. I'm like 30 some hours in. It's probably the most underrated game of last year, in my opinion, so far that I played.
Okay, I know a couple people
Yeah,
who
from what
wouldn't
I
disagree with
played,
that.
it was good. I like the narrative of it and everything. So I got to get back.
Yeah, the
to that
combat's
eventually.
not stellar, but it's like the definition of a solid game.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a game of the year contender, but it's you shouldn't be disappointed.
Right.
That's what's up. Morgan, how are you, and what have you been playing, man?
I'm good. I hope everybody's good. Unfortunately, little technical difficulties, but that's nothing new if you've been around the the Otter Players podcast for long. But yeah, like almost like where he finished the game he was playing like right after the podcast. I also finished Dave the Diver like that night. Platinumed it, loved it, absolutely banger of an indie. Really had a great time. with Dave the Diver. I like the, by day you're diving and getting, the all the fish and the food that you need for your restaurant, and by night then that's when you do the restaurant sim and you're kind of serving it and doing the management and hiring your employees and things like that. Like I just liked balancing all of that in the game. So yeah, it was very enjoyable. I can't wait. I don't think they've announced a release date yet
No,
for the
got
new
revealed.
DLC. So
No,
yeah,
got revealed.
so I'll be looking out for that when it comes out. Definitely revisiting Dave the Diver.
That's a day one,
Um,
eh?
yeah. So yeah, that was great. I've also I guess that's the first game down for my resolution. Let's see how long I can hang on to this resolution. My New Year's resolution of 50 indies. I guess that's the first one down.
There you
So
go.
we'll see if I am able to reach 50 this year. I need you all's emotional support. So help me out with that. Speaking of indies, the next game that I started playing uh is A Night in the Woods. Um enjoying that. I think that came out a while ago. Like I think 2018 is when this game released. But I've heard great things about it, and I finally got around to. I was just like, I was in an indie mood after finishing Day of the Diver, so I was like, let me give it a try. So it's really good. It's like a story you play as like, you're an animal, like you're like a cat, and all the other characters are animals, and you kind of play as this character who has dropped out of college, and they come back home, and they're just kind of lost in that, I don't really know what I want to do, to, I don't really fit in here anymore kind of space, you know. So
Oh,
it
basically
this
it's not real life.
yeah, essentially. So yeah, it's pretty good so far. Um can't complain about it. It's basically you're reuniting with old friends from high school and kind of just revisiting, what it was like when you grew up in your town, and the things that you went through. And I'm not that deep yet, but I think there might be like a murder mystery coming. That's what it's hinting to. So I can't proclaim that this is what's happening, but um, so far it's good. I'm enjoying it. And I've also started replaying Kingdom Come Deliverance, the first one, obviously, because the second one isn't out yet. I played it partially, but never finished it. So I was like, since I'm excited about two, I should probably beat one. It's kind of a little bit of logic there.
There you go.
I forgot, or not forgot, but I didn't, because I originally played it on PS4, and I wasn't aware that they didn't do a next gen update for it. So it's like stuck at 30, and it's like killing my eyes because I don't think it's even at a lock 30. It seems like the frames are kind of iffy. So it's taken a minute for my eyes to adjust, and it's a lot. Like I'm like, oh my God, I'm getting sick playing this game. But it's good, so I don't want to stop, but the frames are bothering the hell out of me. But yeah, I'm excited to beat this so that I can get into the mood so I can play Kingdom Come Deliverance too. I heard the sequel is such a vast improvement of like all the problems people had with the first one. So I'm excited to get onto the second game. And for those who don't know, Kingdom Come Deliverance is like a first person RPG. It's supposed to be very realistic to like the medieval time, like as far as like they try to go towards realism, as in like you got to eat, you got to sleep, the way you appear, like as far as like your clothes, whether you're clean, whether you're bloody and stuff, has an effect on how others treat you. And it has like an effect on your appearance. You have to raise your categories of like speech and charisma and strength and stuff like that, like RPG stuff, and all of that affects the world around you essentially. I like that. Like I like games that do, some people don't like the kind of nitpicky, like, oh man, I gotta eat all this time, and I gotta do this and this to raise this stat, or I can't do this quest if I don't. But I kind of like that sometimes, not not in all games, but every now and again I do like games like that. So that's what I'm playing right now. So hopefully I will be done in a um reasonable time. But this game is like you can play this game for like 200 plus hours. So cross your fingers and pray for me, and hopefully I'll finish it before February starts. So
Yeah, good luck. Based on what I know about that game being incredibly long, so
yeah.
yeah, you're gonna have to put in a wrench to get that one done, from what I understand.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I get you on the whole 30 FPS thing because yeah, being locked and potentially not the greatest frame pacing can definitely cause some really jarring issues when you go back to
Mm-hmm.
games like that. That was the same issue I had going back to Shadow of War. I really wish PlayStation
Oh
would
yeah.
just give us an unlock, like a general unlock frame rate option to force PS4 games to just play it whatever. Like they don't have to tune it or anything. It's just an
Yeah.
option.
See, I know the reason that they don't do that sometimes is because it like fucks up games sometimes when they do that, like trying to brute force it.
Yeah,
And I think people will be upset if it was unlocked and all of a sudden the game just is just fucked up essentially.
unplayable.
But
Yeah,
yeah.
but
Can
yeah.
you play it via streaming on PC? Unlock?
I mean, yeah. I mean, she could, but
What?
she owns it on console already.
Hmm.
But yeah, no,
I'm sorry, I don't have a PC. Why would you ask me that?
no. He said via streaming, as in your
Oh, you
GeForce
talking about
Now.
in GeForce? I mean,
Yeah,
I'm
Yeah.
not playing that on GeForce. No, I want to play on PlayStation.
yeah. But yeah, Omar, how are you, man? And what have you been playing?
Dude, what a run. So, I started and finished Metal Gear Solid 1.
Congrats,
Um,
welcome to the club.
it's great. I was so afraid of not following the story because I heard a lot about it being complicated and how 1 is 3 and 3 is 1 and all
Well, it's
that jazz.
Kojima, so you should have been mentally prepared for that, sir.
I know, I know. I like the secret ending. The only thing that I'm curious about, if you are who you are, you're the third son. Why did you even cancel the entire uh, bombardment? Like that would literally have been your ticket way out. But I'm curious where the story takes me. I do love the character interactions. For me, maybe it's just me, but Otacons literally felt like Kojima. I felt like Otacons is literally Kojima himself. He put himself in the game. It just felt like it. Besides, besides that, I gotta laugh. I absolutely gotta laugh. Metal Gear is literally because of anime. Like I gotta laugh. That's so funny. And I was curious which anime it is. I was thinking maybe Gundam, but then I remembered Kojima had his own mecha game. I forgot what it's called. So it could be that they took from. Um, the two thing I would say is two boss battles are absolutely horrendous. It's clunky. And me and my going to try to go for the platinum. I looked up what I need to be done, and apparently you need to play this game on Elite. I'm like, yeah, no, thank you, cause it's clunky. But battles can be iffy in sense of you can either get it quickly done or it drags,
You mean because
and
the game is from 1998?
but the problem is you need to beat the game in under 3 hours. I'm like, excuse you. No, thank you. Apparently, there is a skip for some areas, but I'm like, no. The worst thing that I had to do is the final chase with the machine gun. Your turning is so terrible. An enemy's bullet stun lock you into oblivion. Like I didn't have fun with that ending. I love the boss battle against the Metal Gear itself. Like that was creative, especially for how old the game is, especially for how you take it out. That felt so realistic. I love that game. Um, I'm excited to see what 2 is about. I had a lot to think about it, and I know you're not gonna play as Snake, you're gonna play as Raiden. I actually thought Raiden was Grey Fox, cause ninja, stealth, all that jazz. But no, Grey Fox turned to be a character of his own, and I had a blast with the first one. After it, I started and finished Legacy of Kain Remastered 1. I gotta give shout out to Nappy for inviting me to the podcast because I was having gamma issue and he told me how to fix it. And luckily, I'm able to do so and I can continue playing. Otherwise, that game was
Uh,
absolutely
Omar,
unplayable.
you mean Soul Reaver or Legacy of Kain?
Legacy of Kain is literally the name. Legacy of Kain Soul River Part 1.
Yeah, but there's also Legacy of Kain without the Soul Reaver. That's the first
Oh,
game, to
oh.
be clear.
So
Blood Omen, isn't it?
I did finish the
Blood
first,
Omen. Yeah.
the remastered version. I did finish the first game.
Yeah, okay, I get it. I get it. Yeah.
It's the crazy part is I don't know how they were able to do this. If you press R3, you can actually switch between the remastered and the normal version visuals, which I found
You,
so cool.
Yeah, I mean that's
it,
pretty
that,
commonplace these days.
yeah, exactly. Like,
Like he said that
Which,
was like the first time it ever happened.
yeah, yeah.
at least for me, it's the first time that ever
All
ever
right, all
happened.
right, all right, Omar. Fair enough.
But yeah, besides that, I started a game called
Oh
Ogu
my God,
or
there's more. Okay.
OU.
This
I mean, when
this man played so much. Okay.
my game literally, I couldn't continue with Legacy of Kain, so I chose to play a different game
Go play
while
five more games.
other people tried
Continue
to.
with Legacy of Kain. Hold up.
Yeah, because of the gamma. Like I started Legacy of Kain, I dropped it because of the gamma was so dark. And then on Monday, Nappy told me about the solution, and then I started it again. But meanwhile, I started to play a game called Ogu and the Secret Forest. Um, it's action. Oh no, it's how do I explain what Ogu is?
Is it Metroidvania?
No, it's not. It's that's the thing. It's not, but it is at the same time. If
Oh
that
my
makes
God.
it's but it's not. It's
He's trying to find
I
a way
knew it.
around it.
I
not.
knew it.
It's
He
Other things
doesn't
it's
find a way
besides
around it.
let
Oh
me
my
Metroidvanias. Yeah.
This
God.
let me
motherfucker.
fucking explain how it's not. You're literally you're grounded. You don't jump, you don't do acrobatic stuff, you don't do platforming, nothing. It's all on the ground. But there are puzzles that you need to solve, and there are equipment that you get. So that's why it's difficult to say if it's a
I mean
Metroidvania or
that's
not.
fine. Ain't none of us playing this shit anyway.
I
I'm
mean,
gonna keep it
yeah,
real.
of course not. But yeah. Oh, and last week I actually finished
Oh my God.
the DLC for Prince of Persia: Golden Crown. Shout out to Bram from Twitter. He finished it before me, and not gonna lie, I had a blast with that one. I wish we'd get more of it, but sadly, RIP to the studio. Love that DLC. Quite short, but was a blast. But that's about it for me. I think. Yeah, I think.
I
You
think.
sure?
Yeah, it is. Okay.
You
Let's
sure?
move on. Hurry
You
before
sure,
he thinks of
Omar?
something else. Hurry, move on. Hurry.
Don't give this man any more time.
Oh man. But yeah, jumping right into our first topic, obviously the big elephant in the room, the thing everybody's been talking about, whether you liked it, whether you disliked it. We got the first look at the Nintendo Switch 2. Not the Super Nintendo Switch, not anything crazy, just Nintendo Switch 2. They showed it off in a mock-up reveal, showing a couple of the features. We no longer slide or snap into place. the controllers. You can now. It
Aw.
looks like they use like a magnetic feature.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah,
it's
I
a
know.
magnet. Yeah,
Yeah, so no longer snap. The snap sound. They can't really do that anymore because it doesn't
Man,
snap into place.
classics.
Yeah, but it looks
False
good,
advertising.
right? But
I love how it's called Joy-Con drift, and you're literally now drifting with your Joy-Con. It's literally on the nose. I love it.
You're the only one who gets.
yeah, I was like, what? I was
This man is so random, bro.
It's called basically it's called Joy-Con drift, right?
we
Omar,
get,
Omar,
we get what
Omar,
you're
are you
trying.
drunk?
We don't.
Are you drunk, Omar?
It just wasn't
No, I
good.
forget it.
This if y'all are not aware, this is how Omar's stream of consciousness works. When
Yeah, he just looks out random things that he thinks we
How is it
understand.
random?
it's like
literally
it's like
perfect
Tourette's,
review.
but it's like Omar's
It-
custom version.
Well, because we were talking about the magnet, and all of a sudden you brought up the drift, and that's why it kind of veered off a little bit. We were like, wait, what?
And the amazing part is Omar doesn't need any weed or alcohol to get to that level.
It's all natural.
Oh,
Weird.
natural.
It's just
just
it's like dealing with a drunk, but at 10:30 in the morning.
Hey, look, you tried it. That's your fault.
It's midnight over here, so
Oh man.
But yeah, like I said, they showed a couple different things, a few features. Like I said, the magnetic ability for the new controllers, which if anyone has played a Switch long enough, that's a big deal because one of the bigger issues for the Switch was the rails always breaking for the slide mechanism. So
Neither one of my kids have those anymore. They now have like one has a pad that he puts his Switch into, and the other one just plays with his lap with the Pro controller. Because I'm like, I'm not.
See?
Where you going with this shit?
Yeah, I mean, it's understandable. Like I said, they broke so easily. Like it's not like it's a child thing. Like I broke the slides on like my original one as well. Like they were just like plastic.
That tracks. You're kind of clumsy though, Tony. So.
Oh, jokes. But yeah, the slide was very easy to break. What it was that was actually breaking is the lock that keeps them in place.
Yes. Speak for yourself, and that never happened to me.
Hey,
we've said, look, mine's still intact. I don't know about you.
Hey, look, most people broke the slides. Let's keep it real.
Oh man, he tried to lump everybody into there. Okay.
I said most. I said
To
most.
be fair, I do replace mine with the Hori pad. So.
Oh well, yeah.
Okay.
See, there you go. Yeah, like mine doesn't slide with the Hori pad, and that's what I use. But the actual original slide area like ends up breaking. So them going with the magnetic fit will stop that from happening entirely.
That was probably one of the first things they discussed in R&D for this.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, how can we fix this stuff? These people stop breaking them all the time.
How can we alleviate Nate's pain? That's what they discussed in their meeting room.
Absolutely, he was definitely on their mind.
Well, no, but the biggest issue with it is if it slid out of place while you were playing, like the Switch immediately freaks out because it thinks that like, oh, you're trying to switch modes.
That would never happen to me. What the fuck do you? What kind of switch do you have?
Bro, I'm telling you, this happens to a lot of people. Like Nelson just said, he switched it for his kids because like none of them play that way anymore.
They're kids, and Nate, what's your excuse?
Bro, everybody, I'm telling you, everybody I know, their latch broke. You can literally buy them on eBay.
Chat, is it true? People with the Switch. Did y'all mess it up?
Like, it ain't just me. I know.
Yeah,
you were down on calling your bullshit, Nate.
Yeah, I mean, I have a Switch OLED,
oh,
so
man, his is still intact.
I have a Switch OLED now. Yeah, but hold on, wait, let's get something straight, motherfucker. Hold up, okay? I bought the Switch day one, unlike 90% of these motherfuckers. Okay, let's get that straight, okay? Day one.
Y'all got this man in his feelings now.
Okay.
I still have my OG Switch, Nate. So what's your excuse?
Yeah, like just because the build quality on the original was not that good, which is why we had bend gate where everybody's Switch was bending from the heat in the middle. Like, let's get some stuff straight, okay? Nintendo is not some savant. Yes, that's what it was called. Yeah. Because people, when you left your Switch in the dock, it was overheating because Nintendo thought it was a good idea to suffocate their own device by not having an area for the bottom holes on the switch to breathe. So then the heat would just build up in the middle, and eventually it would just bend your switch. So yes, there were a lot of issues with the default switch. Like the OG switch had a ton of issues.
Okay, so to sum that all up, Nate's
Nate,
happy about the magnets.
you play this shit in the sauna, right? That's why.
Oh man,
Not a
Viper's getting
sauna.
on you as he should. Viper's getting on you. Just so you know.
Anyway,
It's
so
a switch, not a tennis racket.
it does get
Get
used as a
him,
tennis racket
Viper,
eventually.
get him.
But like I said, they switched it for obvious reasons because it's much better than the stupid slide mechanic that broke a lot because the locks were plastic and cheap and designed terribly. So they did switch that. So that's a big innovation.
Maybe we in Europe got like the better version. You got like
Oh
the
man,
better version. I don't
they
know.
sent the United States the cheap stuff.
Okay.
They fucking hate you
that
guys,
tracks.
so. Yeah.
But-
I mean that's track. So.
But yeah, like I said, it looks like an improvement. I don't know about the dock yet. The dock looks like it, unless there's something else we haven't seen. Because like I said, despite us getting the reveal, they didn't really. There's still a bunch of stuff they didn't show. There's supposed to be some other stuff going on with the back of the Switch in order to let the heat out in a specific way. Hopefully they don't make the whole bend gate mistake again by just suffocating the Switch and it has portholes on the bottom. So we'll see how that goes. Like I said, that's a big improvement in general for them. I'm interested to see what the innovation with the mouse. So you can now use your Joy-Cons as a mouse. Only thing I can really think of with that is obviously something like an RTS game being ported to the Switch, things of that nature. I'm sure they'll do something creative with it, as Nintendo always does. As well as a couple other innovations. Obviously, the screen is bigger. The Joy-Cons are a bit taller. You see all this kind of happen one for one on the screen when they show it off originally. I'll go ahead and pull it up so you guys can see it that are watching the stream. But yeah, the real question is, at the end of the day, is were you impressed enough to, pre-order or looking to purchase one off of what you've seen so far? Obviously, me and Weeb and Nelson all have one. So I'll start with you guys since we all had one. Weeb, everything you've seen so far, are you still day one?
Yeah, like I said, it kind of depends because we haven't seen much really, other than it looks like Switch, but bigger and probably more powerful. But
Yeah.
it all depends on the games. Yeah, the thing is, what's kind of breaking point might be the fact if it's an OLED or not. Like if it's an OLED, sure,
Okay.
day one.
I've
If it's
definitely heard
not, then it depends. Like if does have killer apps, exclusive to the Switch 2, day one, or at least, in say timing of 3 months, sure, I'll get it. If not,
Weeb, if Metroid 4 is exclusive to the Switch 2, will you be day one?
yeah, Prime 4.
Yeah.
Be precise, man.
I'm sorry,
That's
Prime 4.
Because the real Metroid, the last chapter was Metroid Dread. That's the real Metroid. Prime is just a spin-off.
Yeah.
Sure, if that was exclusive, yeah, if I'm not gonna be a stickler. Like if they have like significant improvements, basically if it's like the pro version of the Switch, like I'm fine with it too. Like if it is 60 FPS on Switch 2 and 30 on Switch 1, okay, cool. But if there's no real benefit to it, like if they don't have any exclusive, if it's not, you don't notice the difference and doesn't have an OLED, then I might be inclined to wait until they announce the OLED, because like I just bought the original Switch, like, and I'm fine with it, but like based on experience, like they're gonna release like I don't know, the year later or the OLED, so that might be an incentive to just wait, unless they have something that just makes it like waiting, is not an option for me. So yeah, so it day one with with an asterisk. So based on
Okay.
what software do they have on offer, or what
Did you see
benefits
the
do they
leak?
have? Sorry.
Did you see the leak? The rumored leaked lineup?
That depends on what league you're talking about.
Apparently, it just gonna have a new Mario Kart, and that's it for new games. And also,
I
The
saw a
hell do you
different one.
know that?
Yeah, I'm about to say I've seen several leaks that said it was
Yeah.
going to have Mario Kart. It was going to
You're
have
gonna know more in
Metroid. It
April
was going to
because they're gonna
have
have a direct.
Mhm.
They didn't even probably mean
yeah,
for you to know Mario Kart yet. They didn't even think about that commercial.
yeah. I wouldn't believe that leak that they only have one game.
If it's just Mario Kart, they're gonna go fuck themselves.
Yeah, I highly doubt it's
Yeah,
just Mario Kart.
I doubt that Nintendo doesn't usually really do that. So I doubt that highly.
hey,
Yeah, they know they ain't getting a lot of third party big games. They know they got to rely on themselves only. I
No,
think that's
but
why they were so weak this year.
no, Nelson. I disagree with you because people underestimated the Switch when it came out because the Wii U failed. But now they've seen how successful the Switch is. Like even like Activision and basically everybody admitted, like EA, like how they underestimated the Switch and they regretted that. So when the Switch 2 comes out, they're gonna fucking support that shit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Mark my
the
words.
creator of COD
Yeah.
or the director of COD was
Yeah.
speaking how he regretted not putting COD on the Switch. I mean, that's imagine how many sales, even though it would have probably ran terribly, but I'm sure the sales would have been great on the Switch.
Yeah, a lot of people went out of their way just to play on their Switch. So
A lot of Wii's and nobody bought that shit on there neither. I don't think anybody trying to buy those type of games on there. That's me.
the sales were
Maybe people in
terrible
the
on the Wii.
East.
But Nelson, you day one caveats. What are you looking like right now?
I'm probably gonna wait till October to my kids' birthdays because I can't justify going out in July in the middle of summer with no motherfucking holidays or nothing and spending all that money. Like, here's your birthday present, like 4 months in advance or something. You know what I mean? But yeah, October. Like,
Okay.
yeah, just remember I got you a present months in advance, and then when there's their birthday, they ain't got shit. I don't think that's gonna work out that good. So
Got you.
yeah, probably October.
Okay.
It's just bad timing because at least if it would have came out in like April, I could have played it off as Easter or something. But
Yeah, I agree. The timing's going to be really weird for the release.
I'm not gonna spend
so-
$1,000 on my kids and be like, "Happy 4th of July!" Like the fuck.
Yeah, absolutely not.
You know what I mean? It don't make no sense.
All right. So now on to the two panel members who didn't have a Switch. So, Omar, let's start with you. After the reveal so far, are you on the fence? Are you still wanting to be day one? How are you feeling?
no, I'm day one. It's just a matter of if I need to see what the lineup is going to be, so I know if I'm gonna buy something from the new lineup or just start buying older games. Like for example, Astral
Astral Chain.
Chain,
Yes.
You'd
Breath
be
of the
crazy to buy
Wild.
a Switch right now because you can just play the old games on there, and they might even become cheaper since they're a generation apart. You could actually carry them over. They might actually drop the prices for once on some of them.
Yeah, we'll
You're
see.
very
I wouldn't be
optimistic, though.
surprised if
I will
Nintendo's
see.
prices went up.
One
Right.
thing for sure. One thing for sure. I do need to buy a Switch because I have not one but two operation on the way. So
Okay. So
I
you
need
need
to
something
to
mobile.
entertain myself because I don't have a PC, I don't have a laptop, and I don't have a portal. So I'm relying on Switch. And Switch 2 might be it for me. It's just a matter of what is their lineup going to be. Because you said it, it would be crazy to reveal a Switch 2 without any new IPs, or rather just new games.
Okay, so regardless of
Yeah,
what
that
happens,
Nintendo
you're
don't
buying
really
it.
make new IP. You just see new iterations.
No, I said new games. I fixed my new IP comment. I meant new games.
Okay. No, but that's what I'm saying. Regardless, you're getting a Switch too. Like no matter
Yeah, for
what,
the most part.
because it plays the older games most likely better, as well as
Yeah,
playing the new games. So it'd be ridiculous for you to buy a regular Switch.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
Also, I'm
you're gonna
curious
get it.
if the controller, the special one, it's going to be able to be um, playable on the new Switch. Because knowing me, I'm not going to be able to enjoy with the Joy-Cons. I want an actual controller, the Pro
Yeah,
or
you're
Oh
whatever
yeah,
it's
the
called.
way you break controllers, yeah.
yeah, you're gonna have to wait to see that. Like you're not. I wouldn't anticipate the original Pro controller working. I'm not saying that it won't, but I'm just saying I wouldn't invest in that ahead of time. I would advise no one to do that. You never want to
Yeah, I
invest in an
would wait.
accessory you
Shit,
don't
if you're not
have.
already invested in Switch, I wouldn't invest in a
Yeah,
goddamn thing right now. To be honest with you.
exactly. Okay. Uh,
Also, the rumored price is €400 or $400. So, hey, that's not too shabby for a Switch.
I mean, we'll see what happens when it actually gets announced, because there's a
Yeah,
lot of things to take place between now and that announcement. The way 2025 has been going. So
yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah. And last but not least, Morgan, the holdout for the Switch. I know you love your indies. I know you like quite a few games. You've been a JRPG connoisseur this generation. So how can Nintendo sway you, or have they already convinced you?
Yeah, I mean, I already said I was gonna get a Switch. Like, there's nothing they could do in the reveal that was gonna deter me, unless it was just like, terrible. But I knew it wasn't gonna be with the Switch. Like I already figured that the Switch 2 was just gonna be like just a better variant of the first one, and that's what it was. Bigger screen, bigger Joy Cons. What I would assume is probably a better battery life. And then I saw that they added
Output's gonna
another.
be, instead of 720, is it gonna be 800, 900,
Yeah,
850?
that's why I said last week that the real thing that I'm curious about is like the
They
internals.
basically, everyone's seen it and they needed to throw a video together. They didn't want you to see nothing yet, to be honest. Let's just keep it a buck. They weren't
But
planning on
yeah,
telling you shit until March. Just
yeah,
keep it a buck.
I think they initially were gonna do the reveal today,
In
because
March,
that's what all the leaks said that they were gonna do. But
yeah, after everyone already seen the bitch.
well, no, I just think they already planned, because they did the same thing with the original Switch, where they kind of they showed what it looked like, and then they did like the official reveal, like a couple months later. I think this was always their plan. It's just they were upset because the leaks pretty much killed the hype, because we already knew exactly what it looked like, so nobody was surprised when they saw anything. They were just like, oh, okay, so it's exactly like the leaks. Which I think, because people were very upset with the reveal, and they were like, it was lackluster. It was, I'm like, well, because we knew it already. That's why. I like, if nothing had been leaked, I think people would have been more excited, because obviously it's a Switch, it's Nintendo, it's a new piece of hardware. So I think people would have been excited. But the mere fact that we knew what it looked like, down to the size and the little, back stand, and like the size of the Joy Cons and everything, it was just reiterating what everybody already knew, which always kills hype. But besides that, I don't think it's going to be OLED. From everything I've seen and what other people have said in videos, the way the screen reflects, people were like, yeah, it doesn't look like it's OLED. It looks like it's LCD. So I don't
Shut up,
think.
Morgan. Shut up.
Like, we know Nintendo, they are going to release this shit. Like, they're going to say it's some super duper fancy ass LCD, and then
It's
they're
gonna
going
be
to,
400, and then the $500
yeah.
with a bigger screen and an OLED on it or
And
something.
then next year they'll be
They're
like,
gonna probably
okay, here's
be
the
3 different
OLED.
iterations of Switch 2s over the next like
It's
7
like,
years.
I would be a fan if they just released with multiple variations. Like, here's the cheaper one that's LCD, and then here's the OLED. But that's not the way that Nintendo likes to roll,
Yeah, I want
because
my better one up front.
they
They
know.
know the Nintendo fans own 7 to 10 of the motherfuckers.
Yeah, exactly. They know people will buy
Like
multiples.
Gene Park got like 12 of the bitches.
Yeah. So because they know that, they will just release an OLED version later, which sucks. But yeah, I mean, I'm gonna definitely get it day
I,
one.
I, I hate you, Morgan. I hate
I
you.
know. I'm sorry.
Oh
I love you
man,
though.
a day one commitment from you? Okay.
Oh man.
Oh man.
Um. Yeah, I mean, most likely, and unless like I don't know, but most likely it'll be day one for me. Unless like, of course, I can't secure a pre-order, then it'll be day whenever the hell it becomes available.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah.
So yeah, because everybody, I just know when these pre-orders go live, it's gonna be all hell's gonna be broken loose. It's gonna be the number one scalped product.
Oh
Everybody and
yeah.
their mom's
No,
gonna be trying to
sure,
get one.
sure.
Like I'm just kind of hoping, I'm able to get in there and get one. So we'll see. But it looks good. I like everything that I've seen from it. I like the bigger screen. I like the bigger Joy Cons. I am curious, just like you guys, to see what that mouse, is going to be for. Like, I'm sure it's for like RTS, but I'm like Nate said, I think it's going to be used in a unique way for specific Nintendo games. So that'll be cool. Then we saw apparently a snippet of Mario Kart 9. I'll probably get it just because, it's something to play. It's like a co-op game, so why not? I haven't played Mario Kart since since my Nintendo 64. That's how long ago I played Mario Kart, but I'm interested in it, so I'll get it. I like the fact that it looks like you're going to be able to play with like 24 people. It looks like from Mario Kart 8, which only had 12. So it looks like it's going to be double the players to play with. So that's cool. Like you could just have like an all out family fun time. If you're at the family reunion or whatever, break out the Switch.
Yep.
Everybody hop on Mario Kart. So yeah, it looks good. I have no complaints. I like the kind of sleek kind of design of it. Like it went all black with the color in the on the Joy-Con, a little splash of color right there. So I like that. Trying to think of anything else. Oh yeah, like I was saying, they said they had another USB-C port on it because people were complaining about the fact that when you sit it down like on a table or something, you can't plug it up at the same time. So they put like another port on there. So that sounds good. So they're listening at least. But yeah, everything looked pretty darn good to me. So I am excited to see more. The only thing I'm upset about is the fact that we have to wait, till April
Yeah,
to get
that's
more
so
news.
long. Like
It's like, like it would have been one thing if we got this announcement and then like 2 weeks,
yeah, like
Nintendo Direct. I'm like, okay, bet. But the fact that we have to wait a whole 2 months is crazy. I'm
yeah,
like,
I feel like
damn.
that's another out of touch Nintendo thing. Like the fact
It
that they
is
thought
very,
revealing it like that and then 2 months is some change
yeah.
to see the
And
rest
then
of
the
it is
whole
crazy.
Nintendo Live experience. I'm like, I don't ever live in these damn cities. Like they don't ever, well, I don't live in a popular enough city for these companies to host these events where I live. So it's like New York, LA, Texas, and I'm like, man, it sucks. I mean, I'm curious if anybody in the chat's gonna try to get any tickets to go. Definitely record. I want to see what the hell's going on over there.
Yeah,
But
I'm sure
yeah,
we'll get some stuff because I'm sure NYC is on the list. So I'm sure we'll get
yeah, it
quite a
is.
few of the content creators who live out there to go out there.
Oh yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I want to say day one because from a technology
Oh man,
perspective, but
the doubt.
but if it's just Mario Kart, I don't care. Like I'm so over that. Like
No,
there just has to be more. Like I mean I there's so many things that need to be improved on the Switch that are not just hardware based. Like the online infrastructure for the Switch needs to change dramatically. Like I'm sorry, like there's just no excuse for this mess. Like I can barely have proper co-op sessions because everybody's got to exchange stupid friend codes and
Oh yeah.
I always look at Nintendo of about
That's
20 years
the
back.
thing that I'm very curious about.
you
yeah.
How are
want?
they going to incorporate the online infrastructure, especially now
Yeah,
that
I was
they're
about to say.
opening up to third party developers now? They're going
Exactly.
to have COD, they're going to have, all these other things. So they're going to need a party. They're going to need a friends list. You're going to need, I wonder if they're going to add like achievements or trophies, it's a really big thing, and that's why I wonder what that there's this mysterious button on
They'll
like
do
the
that
right
because
Joy-Con.
I think Nintendo they don't people don't finish their games as much as people would think they would.
Oh, I believe it.
I think they dabble. I think they
but
dabble on them more than they.
True, but I think Nintendo don't give a crap because they don't care if you finish it or not. They just want you to buy it.
Yeah, but they don't want people knowing copies, but only 2 million people beat any of our games.
Yeah. They got the mysterious button on the Joy-Con though that looks like it might be like a pull up like a friends list or something. Like, pull up your party or something. They need that's what I don't think, like Nelson said, maybe they don't need a trophy or achievement system. That would be cool. It's not necessary though, but they definitely need to get their online infrastructure together.
Like
you need to at least be able to play Mario Kart with your friends at least. If you're gonna have Mario Kart and Smash Brothers and shit.
Yeah, like that's my problem is like invite system and stuff. Like it takes 30 minutes to get a game going via Discord with people to play Mario Kart because the infrastructure is so trash. Like that's ridiculous. If everybody's ready to go, everybody could just friend each other real quick. Everybody's on each other's friends list. Mass join or mass invite. Like they need to think of this stuff, man. Like they just never do.
Do you think they have a new infrastructure at work?
No, I said I hope they do. Nintendo is the type to not do that. But that's what I'm saying. Like, besides the physical appearance of it and all the things they've shown us so far, that's one of the things that they need to do better. And it's like, I'm saying that because I know Nintendo fans will not hold them accountable for that kind of stuff. Because
yes, they don't.
Most of them are already hoping for remakes already. Like I've already seen people talking about, man, I just want a Wind Waker HD, like day one, and I'm like, oh my god, bro, do y'all not want to play anything else? Like, it's just, it's frustrating. Like
they better not hope for that because honestly, that HD port they did for that Zelda game where it was just like they just put a fresh coat of paint on it and said, here's an HD remaster, and then charged full price. That shit was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
I was like,
was wild.
that's. And they swore up and down that was fantastic, and I'm just like, oh my god!
Even a remaster, they just up-resed it.
Exactly, HD. Side by side, you couldn't even tell the difference. I was just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm definitely hoping that the point of this thing being revealed later is for them making sure their infrastructure and all this other stuff is ready. It's just no excuse. I mean, a lot of the other stuff they have with the older games and the higher priced Switch Online and so on and so forth, like something's got to give at some point, man. I'm like, especially like you said, with them, finally getting Call of Duty on the platform. People have been playing Fortnite on the platform. Like I said, communication is just atrocious. Like you can't speak.
It takes you 40 minutes to get in a COD lobby.
Yeah, like it's a mess. So hopefully that's a big thing that they overhaul. As much as I would like achievements of some sort, I mean, I'd love it, but it's like low on the list of priorities as far as functionality.
Yeah.
Like I need the functionality improved. We'll see what else. Like I said, they got in store. Like I said, I want to say day one. Like I said, it probably will be just because, like I said, everybody knows how Priscilla is when it comes to technology, even if she don't play it.
So, and you too. You are some technology snob, so it's gonna work for you.
Not for this so much. This would be more
technology for 20 years.
Yeah, it's been it's more so for me the games, but like if they have Mario Kart or whatever, Priscilla will probably just be interested just to play it though and play around with it. Like that doesn't work for me.
It feels like Mario Kart is gonna be played with the Joy-Con, like as the mouse controller. That feels like I'm waiting on Nintendo to show us what's next for gaming, cause they did the whole Joy-Con, which I'm curious about. But what can you do with it? Is it a gimmick, or is it gonna be implemented well in game?
I mean, I'm sure they'll have that down pack for 4 or 5 games like they always do that really utilize it well, and then it'll be sparsely used from there, or used for the availability of RTS games or games like Civilization 7 if it's going to launch on the Switch too, stuff like that. So I'm sure they'll have some stuff. But
yeah, and that was one of the rumored games, right, for Switch.
Yeah, I think it was, and because
so that would make sense that they'd have that for that.
Yeah, because for the first time ever, Civilization, the full variant of Civilization is launching on consoles for the first time ever with Civ 7. So that's another big thing. Like Quiet Doom said earlier in the chat. I mean, the biggest key feature for me is uh, like you never know with Nintendo. They're like half paying attention all the time. So I mean, we have wanted a new Golden Sun forever. And that would be big, or at least a remaster of the prior Golden Suns, like a collection. That would be big for you, Morgan, because I don't think you ever got to play Golden Sun.
Nope.
Me neither. So
that would be big. Like I said, as much as you have gotten into JRPGs, I know you would love Golden Sun.
a Bayonetta collection would be fire, because I played Bayonetta 1, I forgot about it, and I want to play 1, 2, and 3. So it's gonna be interesting if they're gonna be very how do I say this newcomer friendly, if that makes sense.
You can already get 1 and 2, like there's already a collection, so you just have to buy that and 3. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So like I said, there's a lot dependent on this reveal and what they really show, what they've actually improved. Like I said, I don't want the only improvements to be hardware. Like there's a lot of infrastructure that needs to evolve.
But Nintendo keeps their cards close to their chest. Like they can just not like, we have a new Mario game, Metroid, Zelda, whatever, and it's gonna launch next month. That's what they do.
Yeah, they do.
Yep.
They definitely do. But yeah, like I said, we'll see. I'm like you, Weeb.
I don't see like them saying a whole lot until you can go out and pre-order that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like I said,
I think that direct will be. I think that direct will be very informative.
That'll be a good direct, I think.
Yeah, it's a really good. I think that
launch it, and you'll probably get a couple reviews of games coming soon after that.
Oh,
like the holiday season.
And Nate, I know what they have to do. A new Earthbound game.
Yeah, I know a lot of people will go crazy over that.
But it'd be cool.
Oh man, nice.
The thing is, when it comes to the Switch 2, I feel like they didn't want to reveal it yet. I feel like their hands were tied.
Yeah.
Because it was so lackluster in the sense of we didn't get to see anything. Like, wait,
hey, we saw Mario Kart. Relax.
They just revealed it just so they can be done with all the leaks. Because
well, to be fair, like to me,
it wasn't a showcase; it was a hardware reveal.
No, Nintendo. With Nintendo's history, like people were afraid like they would lose the plot, like with what they did with the Wii U. Like they just did that. They would try. Oh yeah, we're gonna do it totally differently, and they just they're gonna release basically a bigger, better Switch, and that's all people see here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think because then you see a lot of people are like, "Oh man, I expected to be surprised." Like this is usually, I'm like, listen, let's not act like y'all didn't like what we said. Y'all just wanted a better Switch. Like, let's not act like y'all wanted them to switch it up to a GameCube or a damn DS or something. Like, let's not pretend. Everybody wanted a better Switch, and that's what Nintendo delivered. So I think the reveal was fine. I don't agree that it was a bad reveal or that it was like lackluster. I thought it was good. The only thing I think was bad is, or not bad, but
it was like seeing a movie you already knew the.
Yeah, the only thing I'm impatient about is. I mean, it was lackluster because you've seen it, though. That's why it was lackluster.
Because because it's literally a teaser for the actual reveal.
That's a hardware reveal. They're not gonna do a damn showcase in a
I mean, that's
hardware
the same
trailer.
thing Xbox and PlayStation did. Like, it's the same thing.
Nobody's gonna have a half an hour
PlayStation
hardware reveal with games and stuff like that. That's crazy.
PlayStation, no, hold up. PlayStation when they revealed it with games.
I
they didn't.
don't remember that.
They literally revealed it with Spider-Man.
Does it matter?
I mean, I know Xbox for a fact only revealed it with Hellblade, and that wasn't even gameplay. It was just her grunting at the camera. Like that was it.
It was just
So
a
it's like,
CGI thing.
yeah. So I mean, it's not any different than that. Like, that was all they were doing. Literally.
Maybe I remember incorrectly, but
Yeah, it was at the Game Awards.
I remember PlayStation 5 revealed with plethora of games. Demon's Souls.
That was after.
Sorry?
That was after. That was in November when it was about to release.
After? So then they revealed it with the New Horizon Forbidden West. I remember that show revealed it with something. I remember.
Yeah, I'd have to go back, but I definitely remember Xbox only did it with Hellblade, and it wasn't a gameplay or anything. It was just like, oh, it's Hellblade 2. Like we're doing Hellblade 2.
It's gonna be interesting to see what they're gonna show at this actual showcase.
All right.
But
so,
yeah, I think we nailed this topic to death.
All right. Anyway, so moving on to the next topic, the PlayStation.
Okay, I'm looking at the PS5 hardware. That's going around and blue.
Anyway, like I was saying, so the PlayStation canceled 2 live service games announced this week that were going on by Bend Studios and Bluepoint that we found out. They attributed, allegedly it's been attributed that a factor to these were apparently Concord. What exactly that was we don't know. I mean, assuming obviously the main failure, that was an issue. That game obviously failed spectacularly. We all know that. It lasted under a week. Obviously, we told you so is a big factor right now. We all know how we all feel about live service games here, and the push that PlayStation has been going through. It's just all over the place. But obviously, we've had a lot of issues back and forth. Whether it's, you've had the success of Helldivers, the failure of Concord, and then a bunch of other cancellations with The Last of Us, and, the team wasting time building that out, and not even launching that. We never even got to see it, so on and so forth. So, I don't know. Obviously, I'm not a fan of it, but canceled games happen all the time. It just sucks that they, it seems like these 2 talented studios wasted 2 years, of the life cycle developing these games, only for them to never see the light of day. So it doesn't make it any easier to deal with. Consequences are definitely going to be a thing for PlayStation going forward. So I think there's a lot of uncertainty, especially from what I've seen by Twitter and a lot of the reactions to this. Because it's not just this. Like I said, obviously it was Concord prior, and the cancellation of all the other live service games prior, which Omar was listing off earlier, which is quite a bit. So you definitely don't want a bunch of your studios constantly canceling stuff. It definitely seems like they're reeling from that initial initiative where they over invested in live service games and didn't really understand what was needed in that space, which is why it seems like they were kind of blindsided by the success of Helldivers 2, which was not unfounded for me. This was something me and Morgan talked about in detail prior to it launching, about how great of a game that we thought that would be, especially given the fact that it's focused on co-op, and a lot of games are overly focused on PvP. If you guys noticed that with a lot of live service games, they try to focus on PvP.
Trying to copy somebody else, and people already have money invested in those games.
Exactly. Yeah, so you can get way too deep into some of this stuff beforehand. Trying to trap lightning in a bottle sucks.
But you're not gonna beat COD because people have their life invested into the bitch.
Exactly. Like you gotta have something better. You can't just be the Me Too product. And like you said, even then you still gotta gain traction in the live service space, and there's no guarantee.
You don't need to be COD. Just do your own thing.
that's not what he's talking about. He's
Oh, okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
Yeah, you're talking about something different. He's talking about someone trying to compete in that exact space. Uh,
Hmm.
but yeah, so obviously, like I said, the news isn't great. It sucks to hear, but it seems like they might be recalibrating. Like Morgan stated, like they're definitely not closing a major studio like Bend, but
Sounds like they're gonna lay a lot of people off.
yeah, sadly, because definitely with the expertise of them working on a multiplayer game, or a live service multiplayer game, a lot of people who were on board are most likely not going to be needed for whatever the next project is. Um, I don't know. I want to go to you first, Morgan. I rarely do, but I know
Oh, damn.
you
Okay.
talked about this at length,
You know
and how
what?
you feel about it.
I'm gonna, I'm gonna pass the baton over to Omar because I know he got some bars he want to let off, so I just want to go ahead and let him get his feelings out. So go ahead, Omar.
Go for it.
Ooh.
Thank you
Oh yeah,
for
go yeah.
that.
Oh yeah, you're
Okay,
welcome.
so now
We will
for real
regret
though,
this.
for
Let me
real
put my
though,
chair. Hold on. Let me put my chair back. Hold up. All right, go ahead, Omar.
for real though, why can someone not innate understand what went wrong with PlayStation, while PlayStation themselves can't comprehend why they couldn't reach Fortnite level? Or like to me, Nate said it best. Me and Nate, we have that conversation before, and it explained that the reason why Fortnite is that big, besides the whole lighting in the bottle thing, is because an entire publisher is literally just focusing on one game. Yes, they elevated, they've changed it,
How it started
they
out though. It started out damn near nothing, a low budget nothing game that caught fire.
yeah,
So
remember, but the original Fortnite flopped. It flopped so bad. They didn't shut it down though. They literally went back to the drawing board, and then released the actual Fortnite.
So wait,
Like,
let me correct you. It did not flop hard. It just didn't have the success of Fortnite as you know it today. So correction, it did not flop. They sold through.
okay,
They sold through what they needed to. I know. I was there day one. I bought the $100 edition,
I
but
believe you.
they changed their direction once they
Fortnite had a
saw how
$100
popular.
edition. Oh man,
Yeah, there was $100 return.
Yeah, it's
man.
complicated. I'm not gonna because you guys will never see that version of the game anyway. But yeah, then when the PvP portion of it came out, they realized the success of that and then just took off with that. So that just for clarification, it didn't flop. But yes, it wasn't the Fortnite as you know it today with Godzilla rolling through the streets and 10,000 crossovers. But yeah, regardless, it took a lot of work to get to that point, and that was your initial point.
Yeah, I think if they wanted for Conquer to at least have a chance, they shouldn't have killed it like that. But on the other hand, killing it make make it seem like they're serious about learning from the mistake. So it's a double-edged sword. But what's the most disappointing for me is I knew Bend is working on a live service game. Like that was not new. The biggest one would be fucking Blue Point. Why the fuck you have Blue Point
that
working
one made the
on
least amount of sense. I'll agree with that.
on a
Cause
live
it,
service game? Like they proved themselves with remakes. They remade Shadow of the Colossus, which was fantastic. They remade what did they remake otherwise? Uh they remade Shadow I forgot they remade I think Demon Souls and
I agree with you,
they
Omar.
did.
Fuck band.
which was again great. And then we hear they're working on their own project. I'm like, nice, cool, brand new IP from the studio that what you call it showcase that they can do remakes. Now let's see how they do with their own brand new IP and what they do. Fucking live service, like Nobody fucking asked for that. Even if it's a God of War live service, we already tried that with Ascension, and nobody touched that game. What are we gonna delete history and pretend that Ascension multiplayer didn't happen? Oh, or just because Kratos is now all grown up and
Hack
said
on than
boys,
anything though, just to make up for a short
Mm.
game time.
or but because Kratos is now all grown up and says boys a lot, all of a sudden it's worthy to.
Yeah, Omar, that's not really a live service. That was just multiplayer tax on a single player game.
It's frustrating to see
Yeah.
where they are with this one. It makes you question if genuinely they learned from Concord, then what's gonna happen to how long are we gonna need to wait to get actual new IP? And I'm not talking what you call it
Never.
I, I,
intergalactic, because we've seen
I
that. But
yeah, I mean, well, we've seen that. I mean, that's a new AP. So, Omar, your
yeah,
entire
okay, I'm
point of
with
view
you.
is
But no, but
uh,
I'm talking about Santa Monica. I'm talking about Cory Balog new IP. When are we gonna see those?
we
I'm
we will see
happy about
that. We will see that. But the only thing that service push has sort of derailed is that they're sort of cutting in line because normally would have had sort of cadence of, oh yeah, no, the new single player AAA exclusive for Sony, and now they're trying to push those GOS games, and they have their own cadence because obviously you don't want to announce them, or well, they sort of announce them simultaneously, but like you're not gonna push the marketing and release them all at the same time because you know basically the same type of people will be your audience, and you don't want them all to have like, okay, yeah, what fucking service game do I have to play right now? Because you're basically releasing them all in the same window. The thing that Concord has shown Sony is that the cost of fuck around and find out is like, yeah, they're probably now more cautious that they're yeah, we're not gonna release a game that could potentially cost us hundreds of millions of dollars, and we will just have to pretend it never existed. So I think that's kind of the problem that they're facing right now. That's where they're probably are more
Well,
cautious,
they
saying,
definitely
yeah,
weren't being
we're gonna cancel those
shy
games.
before because they didn't just do. If they would have done like 5 over the generation, I wouldn't be saying shit. But like, how many of these motherfuckers you know what I
hey,
mean? Like,
like
what is it,
I've
like fucking 30 of these? Like,
I've
Well,
I've said
I think it's sort of like the shotgun approach where they're like they know that service games like one in, I don't know, like let's say 110 maybe a hit, but be a hit, and they were like, okay, sure, let's do as many as we can, and a few of them will be hits and a few of them don't. And I think they didn't realize that the cost of a failure could be that high, with Concord.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were betting on that one being a hit, and
Yep.
everybody and their mom, knew that it wasn't it. Like we
Exactly.
saw that from the first reveal, like that was never gonna work, and
I was
then
like,
you
what
see
is
it.
that?
Yeah, and I think that they now realize like, yeah, we don't know what the fuck we're doing, and so we should pause and take a step back and be more cautious with these games, and probably they're gonna pivot back, and like the games they have coming, like nobody's waiting for them, like nobody's looking forward to them. We all kind of like already half like it's a half foot in the grave because we're already expecting them to fail because
Mm-hmm.
nothing about them excites anybody. Like they're trying too hard. I think they're sort of I think the biggest problem is probably they thought, okay, yeah, we have Bungie. They're they're the experts of games as a service. We know this that could potentially make us a lot of money. So we have like the golden goose. And now they realize they basically they bought a bill of goods with Bungie. Like these motherfuckers, they were failing. They were this close to bankruptcy, they just sold themselves to Sony just to could that motherfucker, whatever it was called, could buy another Lamborghini for his car park, and
But could they
and
not have
and
seen that
and they've now
beforehand?
realized that these motherfuckers don't know what the fuck they're doing, and they I think that's the entire thing with the service push, including with Naughty Dog, that they're like you need to make factions a live service game, and they're like why we don't want,
Mm-hmm.
that's not our identity, we don't want to do this. And I think that they're realizing that, and Concord was the game that made them realize like yeah, this sucks. Like this is not what we're about, and this can potentially like if you succeed, it can make you a lot of money. If you don't, it's gonna cost you a lot of money. And like stick to what you know. Stick what you're good at. Like this doing a game. Yeah, I know that game development is getting more expensive, but on the other hand, it's with anything. It's the same thing with making a movie. Like it costs a lot of money, but if you're successful, if it's a hit, you make a lot of money, and it doesn't stop studios making movies because they know that potentially on average they're gonna make a lot of money. That's part of the business. Like you don't just throw that away and just go for gas all the way. No, basically gas is like going to Vegas. Maybe you're lucky and you win the jackpot, but
Mm.
most people just go home and they lost a little money, or they're highly in debt with the mob, and somebody will break their
That's a
legs.
really good analogy,
Yeah,
actually.
that was really good.
Yeah.
All I can think about is the casino scene now, where the dude gets caught cheating. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
Wait, which scene in what?
Casino.
Oh, casino. Oh, okay. Yeah.
The thing is, yeah, go ahead.
No. Go ahead. Finish your thought. Go ahead.
It makes you general question like these from the games that we know. We don't. The ones that we don't know is the bigger issue. Because PlayStation is bleeding money by this point. Like it makes you genuine question how much. Because from what I read, I didn't watch the full interview with Shuei Ishida. Apparently, PlayStation was given additional money for the multiplayer live service stuff. So it's not like they took money out of PlayStation, out of single player IPs.
Yeah, that's what I told you.
And I'm not gonna lie, I'm glad why they did that, but it makes a question like this was a really terrible like tryout. Like I have the list here, and out of 13, close to 8 are cancelled.
Yeah, I'm just waiting for them to announce that they've canceled Jade Raymond's game.
That's massive.
Because I don't know who told them to do a Payday ripoff. Because that's not a good idea unless you have some
It's
unique
really not.
gameplay mechanic to diversify it from Payday. Even Payday, the original Payday, doesn't do well in this market. So trying to make a spinoff of it doesn't
Two did for a
really.
long time, but it's got a pool of players that there's not a big pool to pay
It's got its
from, and they
loyal
had
player
all of them.
base.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't see but again, we haven't seen the gameplay of it. Maybe there's something you twist to it, but I just don't see what it could do. Like, so I'm just waiting for them to announce, oh yeah, the game made by Jay Ribbon in that studio has been shut down. So basically how I feel about this is, listen, I don't necessarily like live service games. People who know me know I don't really. I From the moment I saw Helldivers 2, I knew it was going to be successful. Like it instantly drew me in. The idea of it, the comedy of it, the co-op nature of it, it's very different from, PvP, it's PvE. And I was like, okay, that's a nice breath of fresh air. You're with your friends, you're trying to spread democracy. Like the idea of it and what you're doing, the gameplay mechanic of it was refreshing, right? Which was what allowed it to succeed in the market because it was something different. Um,
Yeah,
moment. Go ahead. Weeb.
can I? Yeah, no, I didn't play Helldivers, but because I'm not about that life, I'm not
Oh
the
yeah.
gossip. But the thing is, like, I knew from what I've seen, like, I also predicted that that game could have become a hit because, ironically, the sort of the tongue-in-cheek nature of the game showed the
Mm-hmm.
sincerity of the developers. Like, they want to make something that was fun, and they had a vision, and they pivoted to a certain direction. Yeah, that it came out as essentially a games of service game, but
Mm-hmm.
something that they were passionate about. That, I mean, I'm not saying that the developers that are making GOS games are not passionate, but the thing is, like, there's a difference between making something that sort of naturally evolves into something like the first Helldivers, what was completely different from what two turned out to be, than
Mm-hmm.
making something like what J.J. Raymond is making, like with Concord. That's sort of like these are games that feel like the typical the games made by committee, right? Like
Yeah.
there's oh yeah, what will sell well? Like, okay, we need to
Yeah,
put
the
this
first
in
one
there
was
and this in
small,
there and
Helldivers, and
yeah.
they were like, you know how we can make this better? And they learned from what they'd done before
Yeah, but
instead of just throwing shit at the wall.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like it's very cynical the way that these. And again, I know. Look, if you're working on a game, you might be very passionate about it. Like, I'm not disparaging that, but in the end, like, whoever thought the concept of the game is very cynical in the sense that you're making it to be something that hopefully makes you a lot of money, and you're just
Mm-hmm.
basing it on, okay, oh yeah, this worked before, this is what people want to, or a lot of people played before, so we hopefully, if it makes something similar, and yeah, sure, we're gonna give it a twist, but it's gonna sell well, instead of just making something that you believe in. Like, yeah, I mean, we want to make something that we're we like I don't think, yeah, I mean, I can look in the head of the people who make Helldivers too, but I think they just thought of, okay, what can we do with Helldivers? And like, okay, yeah, let's switch it to a third person perspective, and eventually they reached the point, yeah, I mean, we could make like a live service game of this. And I think that sort of feels, at least that is how it feels, like that they made the decision to go there, instead of just saying, oh yeah, what can we do to, we want to make a live service game because we can make a lot of money with that. Okay, what can we
Mm-hmm.
do with that
You know
that's
what
sort of.
game would actually make an incredible live service if they fleshed it out and got
What?
the right people behind it? You ever played Alien Nation? If you made that like third person
Yeah,
with a
yeah,
bigger budget, that would be a fucking incredible.
yeah, sure, it could
But they
be
don't hire
potentially.
me.
I agree with you though, Weeb. It definitely feels like it was like a natural progression for the Arrowhead team. Like, make it third person, we can make it bigger. Like, it was an IP that they, already, it was theirs, essentially. Well, it's Sony's, but this is a team, that made it. And they just wanted, a opportunity to make it bigger and better. And you could tell, especially from the way that they communicate with their fans on Twitter, and they listen a lot. They incorporate people's opinions, like, you want to do this different, how do you guys feel about this expansion, how about y'all like the way we did the weapons, or you don't like. They're very direct and communicative with the Helldivers fan base, and that's usually comes from people who are really passionate about their IP and want to make sure everybody enjoys it and everybody loves it. um and yeah, you could definitely feel that when you play it. You could definitely feel the passion. And I don't think, like you said, I don't think the Concord team had that. And that's not to say, like you said, that they weren't passionate. It's their job and they want to make a good game. But even I think it came out that they were like, they were trying to, a lot of the developers were trying to bring ideas to the table, and it got shot down by like, the people up top, because they were just like, oh, we're having this toxic positivity. And it's like, we're not gonna dismiss any ideas like that are our ideas. You can't come in here and tell us to change stuff, blah blah blah. And it was just became a whole thing.
You need to tell people that you're not good or this ain't good.
Yeah, that they weren't trying to hear any kind of feedback from the developers about the game and what was going on, and like any type of improvements that could be made. They like the heads of the studios were not trying to hear anything, and that's what happens. These are the kind of things that happen when you don't incorporate everybody and listen and try to make a game for gamers instead of, like we've said, trying to make it for a profit. And I just like, especially like what Concord is and what that Jade Raymond game seems to be, which are derivatives of other games, right? And there's nothing wrong with doing that. Many games are inspired by other games, but if you're just like doing like, oh, this is you want McDonald's, but your mom's like, oh, we got McDonald's at the house, kind of thing, like it's just not going to work. It's just not going to work. So I don't know. I understand why PlayStation went with the live service strategy. Like I don't agree, I don't agree with it. I don't like the way they went about it, but I get it. These single player games that us as PlayStation players love, they're becoming more and more expensive. And, a lot of us in PlayStation, we want the next game to be bigger, better graphics, longer story, bigger narrative, more pixels, more shadow detail, give us more lighting, give us ray tracing. We want it all. And, that comes at a cost. So, PlayStation's like, we got to find a way to pay for this. I think the better way that they should have went about it, like I said, I'm not a suit. I don't know the numbers. I'm not a finance advisor. So this is just my opinion, but I think a better way to handle the live service would have been more of a Helldivers way. And I don't mean that as in obviously make a good live service game, but I mean like license games or partner with third or second party developers to make these games for you. Don't get your first party who have their expertise in single player games and great narrative driven games. Don't get them and then like force them to make live service games, make them make games that they're not accustomed to or that they're not passionate about, right? Because obviously Guerrilla went from like, making first person games to third person, but that was like a natural transition that they themselves wanted to do, right? And they did it well. But obviously all these studios with Naughty Dog and
Insomniac,
Bend, Insomniac, Blue Point, all of those are essentially forced, like make a live service game. And it wasn't a natural transition. And you could see that they don't really know what they're doing. So allow them to be what they're good at, hone that skill, get, obviously a lot of them already have it honed, but continue to make those great single player games and then go to second and third party studios like the way they did with Helldivers to make their live service games, right? Maybe buy like own the IP, like they own Helldivers IP, so they get the money from that, but then get another studio to make it for you. Like I mean, even with Firewalk, I don't understand why they bought Firewalk, right? Like it used to be that Sony didn't buy a studio until they want themselves.
They want you to see you come out with a couple things and be like, all
exactly.
right, we see how you react. You consistent.
Exactly.
I think
Sony,
after PlayStation bought Microsoft bought publishers, they're like, we
I think you're 100% right.
Act of desperation, I agree.
They were like, God damn, they're gonna buy up everyone.
Like, the way they bought out Marquee makes sense. They've been partnering with them for the longest. Insomniac, they bought them the same.
And even with House Marquee, like you said, Omar, it was after the game came out and it was a success. Then they merged them into PlayStation right afterwards. But go ahead.
Sony published their games for like 7 of their games.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. PlayStation used to be like that, where they would make sure, you're like, okay, you make a couple games for us, they're good, they're success, or you fit in with our catalog and our
some diversity. Can you make multiple kinds of games?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Because PlayStation Studios, to be a part of that, to be a a studio labeled a PlayStation studio. You had to come in at a high caliber because their studios are high caliber. You can't just be, anybody. So I was just kind of like side-eyed in the fact they brought in Firerock. I was like, but it's a new studio. They haven't really proven themselves. I mean, okay, if you guys believe in them like that, but all right. But then
Yeah,
they
but
make the game. Go ahead. Wee.
the thing is, I get where they're coming from, like the whole acquisition spree. Like it at a certain point looked like Microsoft was just gonna like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we suck at gaming, but we're just gonna throw money at it and problem will solve itself.
Yeah.
And Sony was like, oh fuck, like they're just gonna
Oh,
outspend us.
they said, oh, they can serious for once. Oh shit.
Yeah, yeah. And they're like, okay, we need to do something. And I think that's sort of this is the result of that. And I
Yeah.
think in the end, it's like, yeah, they didn't really need to do anything because Microsoft was the own worst
I
enemy.
was just about to ask you guys your
Yeah,
opinion. Do you think if they had a crystal ball and they knew what was about to happen with everything with Activision, all their games essentially, and with Microsoft and Xbox coming to PlayStation anyway, do you all think that this live service push would have happened? Just your opinion. I don't know. Obviously, we can
I
never know, but
well, no, I think that they well, the thing is like there's a lot of change in management, so obviously when that happens things will be in flux and everybody wants to try and put their own stamp on it and wants to try change things so they can say, yeah, I did this,
mm-hmm.
and the service push would have to a certain degree happened in the sense that there's always that pressure was always there because they were always
Right.
going to hammer on inflation is increasing and cost of development is increasing, so we need to do something.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other hand, the acquisition spree that was partially caused by COVID because there was a boom, in gaming purely because
Mm-hmm.
people were locked in and had nothing else to do, which they should have known was temporary, but they were gambling on it that maybe this was sort of the renaissance of gaming in terms of,
Yeah.
more people would just keep on gaming and never leave their home or whatever. I know. Um, didn't happen. People were like, "Oh yeah, I can go outside again and we'll do other shit instead of gaming because I got tired of
Yeah.
it." And that's what happened. And they should have known. And the correction happened. A lot of layoffs, a lot of games got canceled, and a lot of games got released. In a very short. That's sort of partially because we were complaining about having too many games to play. That's sort of the after effect of games getting delayed and a lot of games getting released at the same time. And obviously also means a lot of games potentially fail, which
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't have happened if there was a sort of a normal release cadence, which again will some people will draw their own conclusions. Like we've seen it with Warner Bros. Like they released like two service games based on DC properties. They
Oh
failed,
God.
and they concluded, yeah, we need to make more service games. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
that'll always
I
happen because they
oh,
think it's
I
easy.
gotta
That's easy. Go ahead,
Mm-hmm.
Omar.
I gotta ask you guys, do you think this is why they didn't flat out bought uh the publisher for
Bungie.
what's called?
You talking about Bungie?
No,
No, if
no,
you
no, 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 God no.
we
Um,
Warner Brothers,
FromSoft.
FromSoft,
Oh, you
Yeah,
talking
uh,
about
Sadakawa.
Kanakawa.
Katakawa.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because they are now they hold the largest share. I think 10 or 11%. I'm not sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you think that's why they didn't go? Cause let's keep it a buck. Bungie is a mistake.
Sure, I
Yeah.
think the reason I think there's a multitude of reasons why I didn't buy it. One is probably because Kadakawa didn't want to be bought. They just wanted to have a way to protect himself from being bought by a party they didn't want to be bought by. I think it was a Korean company that
Yeah.
was mired in corruption stuff. So
Yes.
they were like, yeah, please Sony save us. And they were playing they were playing Sony because they were like they knew what was gonna happen. Stock price would increase and Sony would eventually settle with getting like a majority stake or like say a large stake in the company, so they will be safe from an acquisition. And Sony would like, yeah, sure, we're fine with that because we're protecting our investment,
Yeah.
our relationship with you guys. And things like yeah, you could have argued potentially there would be some synergy with their other businesses, but in the end, like I don't think Sony, wouldn't necessarily wanted to buy the entirety of Kadokawa just
They
to
just
get
wanted that
from stuff.
anime. They wanted the anime. That was
Yeah,
really what they wanted.
yeah,
They
sure,
want
but
anime, and remember, they wouldn't mind FromSoft,
Oh, yeah, I
because
know they wouldn't have
FromSoft,
minded.
it
Yeah, I know they
matters
yeah,
wouldn't have
now.
minded.
yeah, but
Yeah.
I don't think they would have gone for that for whatever the price was. Like I mean, sure, FromSoft is a fan favorite, and they have become successful, with Elden Ring, but
Mhm.
like they're not successful to the point where Sony's like, we need to fucking buy them whatever the cost. Like no, that's not their own IPs, like across the board with all the potential remasters, remakes, whatever. And they make just as much money as Elden Ring, eventually. Like, so you don't need to buy an entire publisher or a company that does more than just publish games just to get FromSoft. And they're getting the games anyway. So I think they sort of reconsider. The thing is, you also, like I said, like they probably overreact to this extent. And the thing is, like, you can't blame them because we all did. We all were like,
Yeah.
oh, fuck, like they could potentially, fuck Sony over by making Call of Duty exclusive. It's the
Mhm.
biggest IP in gaming. And in the end, like what happened, like it sort of, it ended with a whimper because and we could have predicted this, but because we were all thinking about in terms of gaming, like we were thinking about like Microsoft was going all in on gaming. They would gonna push everything. Like they want to make Xbox so I'll compete
Mhm.
everybody, and we're forgetting the fact that it's just a division of Microsoft. And the point that so much money is going to be involved, Microsoft is going to have a say in it. And when suits get involved, they're like, we already knew that Microsoft, like Phil Spencer and his goon squad didn't know what the fuck they were doing, and then you have a couple of people above them who are not into this entire industry, don't know anything about gaming. Then they suddenly have a say, suddenly have a finger in the pie. Like, yeah, oh, what will make more money? Let's put our games on PlayStation. That's what happened.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
happened when so much money is involved, and then Sony's like, yeah, we didn't actually need to do anything because they
Mhm.
basically sabotage themselves. And I think that's what they're realizing now, and they're realizing like, yeah, we probably are, just as Microsoft has turned into their own worst enemy by spending so much money on acquisitions. Sony has done the same thing. Like we're spending so much money on trying to make the next
It's the
Call of Duty.
extraditions too. You got to keep paying these people. Now you got all that overhead that don't never go away.
Yeah, yeah,
Mhm.
The building expenses come every month. Those paychecks come every 2 weeks.
yeah. Yeah, and
It's
you're spending a lot of money on games that where like they thought, okay, we need to desperately make our own Call of Duty. That's why they bought Bungie.
Mhm.
That's why they're making all these service games. And in the end, like Call of Duty's never going to leave PlayStation because Microsoft can't afford it, or at least
Shit.
uh,
80% of
you
the
know
damn sales.
X. Yeah, yeah.
They need
Well,
them.
or to be fair, like say Microsoft, like that's the kind of thing. Microsoft technically could afford it because they're $1 trillion company, but
Mhm.
Xbox can afford that's the thing that's what people fail to realize. Like Xbox, despite being part of Microsoft, they need to prove their value to Microsoft. That they can't just like, oh yeah, we're gonna make losses, but Daddy said, yeah, it's
Yeah.
gonna
That's
gonna
got it.
foot the bill. Like
that's
that's
fine for a
not
while.
happen.
But 10 years of losses, I mean, pretty soon you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
gonna be named. Daddy's just gonna throw your ass out the goddamn door. He gave up on you.
If you spend tens of billions of dollars in acquisitions, then at some point somebody wants to have a return on investment, and they're not gonna wait 10 years for you to do that. They're like, yeah, we need it now. And the thing is, like, that's sort of self-fulfilling prophecy, because at the point that you say, oh yeah, look at the money we're getting, like, yeah, fuck that, we're not gonna make this shit exclusive, we're gonna keep it on PlayStation. Hey, you know what? Maybe we should get rid of the fucking console and just go third party all the way. That's kind of the thing that's probably what's going to happen from Microsoft, because they overspend. They overspend to the point that more than the Xbox division is worth. Like, it's a gamble. That's what Phil Spencer was gambling on. Let's spend so much money, the point where Microsoft will believe in the Xbox division, that will be so fucking big that that it's gonna surpass PlayStation, just because we have Microsoft backing. The problem is that, yeah, everything was based on that bubble created during COVID, and where we still, yeah, we have like a billion potential gamers, and then like COVID ended, and we got out of it, and people start doing other things than gaming. Like, yeah, oh, it's a temporary thing, so we're back to where we were before COVID, and oh yeah, those projections turned out to be, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
just a fata morgana. Like, it's not gonna
Mhm.
happen. So and then they're like, oh yeah, we spent shit ton of money, we're never going to recuperate that. So we're now forced to basically just sell out, like, to the point where we have to put our shit on everything just to make money back. And once you get that money coming, you're like, oh yeah, that's good. Like just let's keep it like that. Like, we don't want to, they're never they're gonna, as long as PlayStation is around, and they're successful as they are, like, Call of Duty is never going to disappear. They're never going to do that. They made sure of that, like, by spending $70 billion buying Activision. They made sure of that Call of Duty is never going to disappear from PlayStation, because they can't afford it. They have to make that money back.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
putting it on Game Pass is not gonna give them tails.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see what the Game Pass numbers are. I don't know if they'll share them, but what the
Yeah,
financials will
man.
be when they do the spring quarterlies. But yeah, I don't think, like we've said, I don't think it would have been as aggressive because during the time of the acquisition with Activision specifically, I think they were talking about how, they were still going to
Mhm.
be, getting more studios buying, like they were still on the buying spree, like that's what they said. And so I think that made PlayStation panic. They were like, wait, hold up. They just spent billions on this and they're going to keep spending. Oh no, we got to do something. And I think that's what made them get Bungie. They were just like, we need a
Uh,
live service expert, quote
Yeah,
unquote,
okay,
to
I see on that end, but they didn't do even their own research to realize that Bungie was suffering,
I
was
mean,
struggling.
they absolutely did their research. They knew Bungie was suffering, but I think that's what made them buy it. Because when you're suffering, you're cheap.
yeah.
You're cheaper because you're desperate. And so that's why they were able to not only buy them but pay extra to retain the talent. Um, and unfortunately, I mean, looking at it from our perspective, like before when they acquired Bungie, like like in when was it, 2022, I think. I would have looked at them, and I mean, if it was asked to me, should we get them, I would have probably greenlit it too. I mean, they got Destiny 1, Destiny 1 and Destiny 2, which are very big games, and although I'm
This
not a
marathon
fan.
game coming in 2023, 2024. We still
Yeah.
waiting on that. So
Yeah, still waiting to see that. Like I like, off of their caliber and the things that they've done, I would have probably said yeah. I mean, I'm not a fan, but I don't play live service games like that, so I wouldn't have been a fan anyway.
the price
But
was inflated because it was during COVID when they were negotiating all this, and that's all anybody was playing because all the casuals there at home, and they
yeah,
couldn't go to the goddamn.
it's like, even now, even with the crap that's going on, Destiny 2 still has a strong player base. I think they said it went up like lately. Uh, so it's just like yeah, Bungie's really I'm not even going to sit here and try to like sugarcoat it or say PlayStation did something amazing or like, oh, it wasn't that. No, like it was a horrible purchase, but at least in my eyes. But I can't fault them for trying to do something. Like, I mean, they couldn't just sit on their laurels and just be like, oh well, we'll just kind of see what happens with the industry. Like, no, they had to do something with Activision being bought, and then of course, they were trying to. And when Jim Ryan was at the meetings trying to negotiate like how long what games are going to be exclusive, for how long there were these contracts were going to be, and they were like, remember Xbox was saying how they were trying to get them to sign a 10-year deal, and and PlayStation was like, no, we're not signing that. We want it forever. Like, we don't want to sign a 10-year deal. We want it permanent, right? And this went back and forth until PlayStation finally, I think they did sign the 10-year
like
deal.
3 years. That ain't shit. That's like one cycle.
They were like, nah, we're not doing that. And it just went back and forth with negotiations. And I think a lot of that and everything, because they've seen files and paperwork between PlayStation and Xbox that we haven't seen. We've seen a lot because of like leaks and stuff, but most of that we weren't supposed to see. But there's a lot more information that happened at the trials.
Spent them out of business too, which Sony might have seen. They might have been like, "Oh, motherfucker!"
Just imagine all the paperwork that the PlayStation employees and Jim Ryan, all of them saw in that courtroom that probably had them like, "Oh my God, we have to do something." Like, Xbox is gonna spin us out of business. We have to do something. And so I think, like we've said, I think
player games, take them off PlayStation. We ain't gonna have no goddamn revenue.
Like, Call of Duty was their bread and butter. Like, PlayStation makes bank off of COD. So the
Epic
idea
and GTA 6 too. Like, they're done. It's over.
Yeah.
It's a wrap.
The idea of that just getting taken off the platform just was like, oh fuck, we have to do something. So I think a lot of this was like a Hail Mary move. Unfortunately, sometimes Hail Marys work, other times they don't. This is one of those times where they did not, and we're seeing this course correction now with PlayStation, with all these cancellations. And I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, well, hit them with the padded gloves. No, PlayStation fucked up. They fucked up royally. Okay, 10 or however many, I can't even remember how many canceled games they have thus far. When it comes to live service, the only thing I can applaud them on is the fact that they're at least canceling them. They're not just going ahead like, well, it doesn't look great, but we're gonna see how it goes. Like, no. Just like you said, they learn from Concord. They see the red flags and they're like, fuck it, pull the cord, pull it. let's not let that baby suffer. Just pull it.
Pull the Concord.
Somebody, pull the Concord. You gotta clip that. But yeah, it's just it's sad. It's sad that this course correction had to happen, but at least it's happening now, and it's not another Concord situation where they let it release, nobody plays it, and then a week later we get an announcement. Oh, the servers for game A have been permanently shut down and the studio is now closed forever. Thanks, goodbye. Like, I knew Concord was not going to do well, but I didn't expect it to do that horribly. I was just like, damn, nobody was on that thing. Like, I think it was just the ponies on there playing. The people in the spaces was just the only ones in there playing that damn game. But yeah, hopefully, it's an expensive course correction and it's going to take some time, right? Like, that just means Bend is not, unless they have another team that was working on something else, then they're not going to have a game for the PS5. And honestly, I don't know whether to be sad about that or not personally, but I am. It is a shame though, because at least when it comes to what, I keep forgetting their name, the other studio. What was the other one? It was Bend and the other one. The other studio, at least they made Demon Souls, so at least they had one game able to come out. Blue Point, thank you. At least they had one game that was able to come out this generation, even if it was a remake, but it was a really good remake. So, yeah. So Ben's out of the game,
and it wasn't frames gone. So,
everybody was like, "Damn, it should have been at least now. At least frames gone would have been canceled." I was like, "Well, I don't know about that, but
yeah." But the thing is, like, look, we're making a big deal of this, but in the end, like, games get canceled all the time. And sure, we're framing this in this larger conversation of Sony's push for games as a service, and yes, obviously everything we said is correct. Like there is definitely an after effect of Concord, and the service push is definitely an after effect of the acquisition of Bungie and Microsoft buying publishers. Like I've seen some people like being afraid of, oh, what are they going to do with Bluepoint? What are they going to do with Bend? Of course, if it's up to me, fucking burn it and salt the earth, and I don't care about Bend. Let's pretend it never existed. But like okay, to be fair, there are people. At least I assume there are people working there. Um, making games like they're not gonna close that too like game like it's not like with Concord if we're if let's say we believe that the upper end of the estimate of what they lost, like that was catastrophic, like there was like a huge amount of money lost. They backed and the game was released. That's like it was an embarrassment for Sony. That's why they're trying so hard to pretend it never existed. Like
Yeah.
I'm really surprised they even let that episode of a secret level come out. Like I wouldn't have been surprised if they send their legal ninjas like no we you like Concord, what, no that doesn't exist, like it you're legally not allowed to acknowledge it existed. Like I would not have been surprised if that happened, but the thing is in like that it's an anomaly. It definitely had an effect, but like it doesn't mean that just because a game get canceled and has a service game for an existing studio that had a pedigree with Sony, it has had like as much as I love to write, on Frames Gone being fucking garbage. um it probably made his money back. Like it was a success. So it's not like Ben, lost a Sony lot of money historically. Like, and that's the thing. Like, if a studio is like, if it's an existing studio, you owned it, and they've made numerous games and they were successful. Like, there's a higher level of tolerance to failure. Like they can
Yeah.
have a fail they can have a game flop, they can have several games flop, and maybe even potentially like I can imagine Naughty Dog, like it's gonna take a lot for Naughty Dog for Sony to say, yeah, I'm gonna close Naughty Dog. Like they would
Bruh, that would be historic. People, yeah, that'd be
they
insane.
have to have had decades of flop after flop after flop for that to happen, and I don't see that happening. And even if the like Naughty Dog is such a prestigious studio, like it's their crown jewels. Like that studio is so top tier, they would keep that studio afloat even if they were bleeding money. But the difference is and like Ben is never gonna reach that level. We know that, but it's, in the end, they're still making money and they still have proven themselves. But Firewalk was a new studio they acquired. They probably overpromised stuff, and yes, part of that is on Sony. Like they were too much engaged in that sort of toxic positivity. They and I guess it was sort of embarrassing to them as well. Like they kind of want to like,
They
yeah,
overhyped the hell out that. It's the next Star
yeah
Wars, weeb.
exactly
Yeah.
we fucked up, so let's pretend it never happened. So we're gonna close the studio. That's gonna
They did
let's
that
burn it
so
down.
quick.
Let's bury it. But yeah, I mean, if I don't like, look, I'm absolutely sympathetic to the people who lost their jobs out of this, because of this, because and I believe the people working on this, were passionate and want to make a great game. But yeah, I'm not surprised that if indeed so much money was spent on that and the game flopped so catastrophically, that yeah, I mean it's technically your first game for for your new owner. you're losing so much money, and like you have zero confidence at that point that yeah, don't have a proven track record. So how are you going to convince them to keep you open? You're bleeding money basically by just existing. So I'm
Mhm.
not surprised that they made the decision. I'm not saying that I'm happy with that. Like I would have loved them to give them another chance, but like I just want to say like it's not like an symptomatic of what's gonna happen if you fail, like if your game gets canceled, or if your game flops, like that's not like say the new Sony. It's just this is an anomaly that probably you won't see that very often, but yeah, it can happen. And yeah, I mean, sucks to suck, I guess, for if you were involved in development of Concord, and you lost your job because of it. But yeah, it like that's like I said, it's a Vegas of gaming. Like
Yeah.
you're gambling on something being very successful. Like you want to make all the money, but yeah, there's a very good chance they will go broke because it's not going to be successful. That's the thing. I mean, obviously, this thing with single player games as well, but like the single player games can have a tail because they can become successful potentially
Hmm.
after, or they have let's say a longer reach because they're not dependent on being immediately successful. Like if a service game doesn't get adopted right away, it fails. Like that's what
Yeah.
happened in Concord.
Yeah, they're not
Like
going
it
to
didn't.
pull a single player game
Yeah,
out unless you're Cyberpunk. You're broken essentially.
yeah,
They're not going to pull it off the store, even if it
yeah,
like hits like a 54 on
yeah,
Metacritic or anything like that.
yeah. And that's the thing with like
Something's
yeah,
better than
sure.
nothing.
It
Hmm.
it it costs money, of course, to to fix the game and to keep them supporting it. But yeah, like it doesn't like it because it's not a service game. You don't have to have expensive servers running
Right.
and and then seeing nobody's fucking using those servers. Nobody's like yeah, you have to you're struggling finding a match, like because that's the thing with service games. They have to immediately show they're successful or they're dead because
Hmm.
nobody's gonna get on a game where they're dependent on other people playing it and nobody's playing it. Like, and it's not like people gonna wait a few months. Like, oh yeah, and then hop on. No, it is dead. But that's the risk, with service games. Like, you can make a lot of money out of it, but also lose a lot of money, and
Hmm.
plenty of service games fail. That's the lesson Sony learned. And I think yeah, I just think that they should learn to be more moderate in their expectations, and maybe that's also part of Sony's DNA. Like they spend a lot of money making these highly polished games. This single player experience that look like super realistic, and
Yeah.
uh, uh you know probably cost more money. Yeah, I mean that's sort of. I think these games make their money back, but like in terms of what they spend on it and what they get back on it, probably they wouldn't do that if it wasn't an exclusive game or if it wasn't a system seller or something that
Hmm.
sort of is a feather in their cap, like to promote their console. And I think they sort of try to apply that sort of philosophy on their service games.
Yeah, that's what I
And
was gonna say. Yep.
yeah, and that's not like that's as much as you would love to see them applying it across the board. It's not gonna work. Like these games, the bet, like look at Fortnite. Like I know I don't wanna get Nate angry with me, but like look at like in the end, like it's another game that you would say, oh yeah, like it looks like it's the best graphics ever or best
Hmm.
gameplay ever, but it works. Like and the thing is, like games like that don't need to be like very demanding in terms of graphics because yeah, you want to have as many people as possible playing that game on whatever device they're playing it. And I think that's the problem is that they want to create like a top tier AAA, quadruple A, whatever, a service game, and nobody was asking for it, and it was they were sort of over engineering something that could have been so like like you look at Helldivers too. Like I can imagine that probably cost a fraction of the cost
Yeah.
that Concord costs, and it's way more successful because they focus on what's important. It's fun, or at least I don't know if it's still fun, but they at least when it was launched, it was fun, and that's what they yeah. I think that's sort of at least from a sort of outside perspective. I think the problem with Concord is that they tried to pull the Sony magic and something that
Yes.
didn't need it.
Yes, I was just you
Yeah.
got my train of thought. It's exactly it.
Yeah.
Because I think, especially because I mean, one thing that everybody could at least say when it was far as Concord in a positive light is the graphics. Now you might not like the character models, right? But the actual graphic fidelity and the rendering of the game was very nice, and I'm guessing that's where a lot of the money went to. And like you said, I think that's what they did. They tried to PlayStation-ify a live service game, right? Because I guess they're trying to think it is what people like. One of the aspects that people like about our games is the graphics, the realism, the textures, the lighting, and so they tried to apply that to a live service game. But when it comes to live service games, most people don't care about that aspect. That's like the last thing they really care about. Like you said, you can look at Fortnite, you can look at Marvel Rivals, like the game that's popping off right now. Like it's not a bad looking game, but it's certainly not this graphical feat of a game either. So it's just like, I think they were just focusing too much on that aspect of it. And we want to make this look like, when they look at that live service game, they'll know it's a PlayStation live service game because look at those graphics though.
Yeah,
but it's just like the fun of it was missing and the concept of it was kind of like everybody was just like, okay, so it's just like a Overwatch ripoff. That's what everybody was thinking, right?
Yeah,
So it was just nobody went into it with a positive light, right? At least the majority of gamers, they were just like, well, if I want to do that, I'll just play Overwatch. And it's just nobody was just feeling it. And then you got all this money wasted on that aspect of the game. You got nobody in the servers, and like we've said, it costs money to keep servers running. If there's nobody in there, then there's no point in keeping them open. So that's when you close the servers down, you shut the game down, and you shut the studio down. Because if it did cost them like almost $500 million, then immediate shutdown. We're not paying anymore. Like there's obvious nobody's here, and like we were saying, it's live service games aren't something where they may not be interested in like the first week, but they'll come back in like a year or two and it'll be a smash hit. Like, no, you have to get those numbers immediately, right? With Helldivers, it was breaking records. It was doing so many numbers that the servers kept shutting down from how many people were trying to get in. I remember trying to get in the game the first night. I was fighting. Like I finally got in after like I think me and Nate and Omar and I think Nelson joined us in later, but we finally got in like after like an hour or so. We just kept trying to get in because everybody was on. The numbers kept going up. Like the first night, or I think the first night they reached like 300,000 or something on Steam at least before it crashed, and then it just kept going up. And it was a crazy, but that's just what happens when your game is just drawn, and they weren't ready to pull. I think they at least Helldivers team, I'm sure they knew that they loved their game. They knew it was going to be a hit, but I don't think they were expecting those.
I was super excited for that game, but I was like,
hell yeah!
I think this is going to sell 3 to 5 million. I think it's going to shock people because I guarantee most people thought I was going to sell under 500K.
Yeah, I know. Sony
and
did
I
at
was,
least.
I thought I had expectations 3 to 5, and bitch told like 15. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like, I don't
it's
think
one of their fastest selling IPs, and so
it
it's
is their
just
fastest selling IP.
Yeah,
it beat Spider-Man. It beat all of them.
Yeah, so it's just like it's crazy. It's and I think. And like I think Herman did come out and say that because of the success of Helldivers, that's kind of incentivized them to want to keep making live service games.
What game comes out that quadruple fucking quintuple whatever the hell come after like 6 times 8 times more than you expected?
Yeah.
Most 90% of games don't reach their minimum expectation.
Exactly.
Exactly. But the thing is, they need to have a hard look at what made Helldivers 2 work.
Exactly.
And not to think, oh yeah, we can just do it with whatever.
They need to stop making it a race too. Like we need to get this shit out right now. All of them. Let's go. Like take your time. Vet out what might actually work instead of just
Mhm.
scattershot everything. Like,
Herman, if you listen to this podcast, we will be able to provide you with consulting advice for a reasonable price. Yeah.
You know,
hey, I
I'm
already
saying
gave you one for free. That's all you get. Alienation.
I'm just like I just think I don't know what it is with gamers versus the suits. I guess they just don't game as much. But it's just like we're able to look at a game immediately and be like that, yeah, that's gonna do well.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
look at a game like, no, that's not it. Like,
Well,
but it,
we have been very spot on this. So again,
yeah,
Herman, if you listen to this, we have the Nostradamus gaming here.
I will
So
tell you, sir. I will tell you. I'll straight up. I won't sugarcoat it too. I'll hurt your feelings. Like that's pure garbage, Herman. I'm gonna need you to
yeah.
take that one back to the drawing board,
I
bro. But
and personally, I predicted Astrobot would win
you did,
Goatee. So
you did,
so
you did do that. We doubt it, but
yeah.
we was like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
winning.
So across the board, with the exception of Omar, we're always on spot on.
Fuck you too.
Oh man. But yeah, overall. Oh, go ahead.
No,
Omar.
no. Finish your point. You
Okay,
gotta finish.
but overall, I am not happy with everything that's happened. I know cancellations happen; they happen all the time. They happen behind the scenes, and we don't even know it. The reason a lot of this is so bad is because we've been given the behind the scenes look. Because this is a hot Sony's pivoting, or not pivot. I don't want to say pivot because it's not a pivot, but their addition of live service games to their repertoire has been like a big topic for the industry wide, right? Because PlayStation's been known for their single player for the longest, so them doing live service was a big talking point. And so that's why people like Jason Schreier and Tom Henderson and Jeff Grubb, they do their best to try to find out what's going on because they know that's what's people care about, and that's what things that drives clicks. And I mean, I'm not mad at them for it. It's just that's what it is. It's a hot topic.
Okay.
So that's why we're so aware of what's going on behind the scenes. But at the end of the day,
anytime they can get a hold of stuff, games are canceled every goddamn month at every publisher. You just don't know about it.
I think what makes it different is because of the amount of fuck up that they've been making.
Oh
like,
man.
No. Like you literally said it yourself. They didn't need to buy which studio was it?
Firewalk.
Firewalk. Like the old PlayStation would never act on impulse like that. And
But I think Omar, it's not like
they had a $1 trillion company buying up half the industry, though.
They keep making mistakes after mistake and mistake, which but you're suggesting. I think it's just one part of the same mistake.
One giant mistake that
it's
can't,
the ripple
you can't fix it overnight.
Of like I said, it's a consequence of overestimating the situation that happened after or during COVID and Microsoft's acquisition spree, that they overreacted, and everything is a result of that. And the thing is, like I would. I mean, I'm being very optimistic here, but I say that seems to be the case, that instead of pivoting more and more in that direction, I think they're now pivoting back to what works, what
Yeah.
made them the brand that we know them to be, right? That they realize, okay, yeah, maybe this is not our forte. This is not what we are known for, and what we're best at, and that's maybe that in that sense, if that's the outcome, that I mean, I'm not gonna pretend that they're never going to make any service games ever again. I mean, they obviously have some in development, and they're probably going to keep on trying. But at least from what we now see, is that they're not going to go all in as they initially were leading us to believe. And I suppose that could be a positive, that this is sort of a lesson to them, like, yeah, that's not what we are, and we shouldn't try to be that. And of course, if there's going to be a suit who's like, they might try again, but at least for the time being, it looks like they've learned from this, and they seem to be pivoting back to, yeah, let's focus on what we're known for. And the thing is, they don't need this, because again, like Microsoft sort of is their own worst enemy because of what they did. They led themselves in the inevitable path that they need to put everything on PlayStation. Like instead of taking games away, it seems like they're putting more and more games, like even their first party games, on PlayStation. And they're not suffering from, like, they're not suddenly losing sales in terms of consoles or in games because of Microsoft's acquisition spree. Like, they don't need these service games to survive. It could be a potential extra sort of revenue if it succeeds, and they will, after success of Helldivers 2, they will probably keep on trying. But at least that's my hope, is that they learn from this. Okay, this is what we're good at. Let's focus on that. Keep on doing this, because this is what made PlayStation, successful until now. PlayStation 5 is successful. And if you keep this up, the PlayStation 6 is going to be successful. If you're going to throw all of that out of the window and just going to focus on gas, then then the PlayStation 6 probably will be a failure. But
I gotta ask you this then.
Mhm.
With how they apparently, according to the rumors, that they learned, or at least they're moving because of the fuck up that was Concord. Do you think that we're gonna see a different PlayStation then? They're gonna go back to the root?
I think they realized that they were overreacting and probably pivoting into a direction that wasn't, like, they were hoping. I think they sort of were thinking, okay, single player games, they're getting more expensive. Gas games, potentially we can get all the money, and they realize it's not that easy to do so. So probably stick to what you know, and leave that to, well, professionals, whatever. But I think they're gonna like, it may not necessarily, like I said, they're probably gonna try keep on pushing gas to a certain degree. So it's not like it's gonna go back to, okay, full on single player. But I'd say they're probably pivoting back to what they were like. I think that right now they need some hits, and they know the sure bet is their single player games. They have a couple of coming out. They have Ghost of Yote. They have well, it's not technically first party, but it's their own IP. Death Stranding 2. Um, and, they have Interstellar just announced, Corey Barlog
Hmm.
IP,
Wolverine.
Wolverine. So there's plenty out there, and I think they realize, let's focus on that. And sure, I mean, I don't know. I can look in the future what they're going to do with their current DOS games. They probably, I doubt they're going to cancel them based on, because they have announced them, they've shown gameplay or at least some footage of them, so they're probably going to try to see if they can make it as successful as possible. But I think they're gonna temper the expectations, and I probably be more cautious in terms of, they're not going to spend $100 million on promoting or getting that game out of the door, realizing that potentially that the game could flop day one.
Hmm.
So I'd say they're going to be more cautious with their GOS games. Like I said, like, they need to realize those games may not match their own expertise, their own formula. And maybe they can make something work if they don't try to rely on that aspect of their development cycle or the development qualities as much, like what they tried with Concord. Um, but also realize, maybe maybe it needs Helldivers 2 is a fluke, and it's not necessarily their forte. And even if you can make like with with a minimum investment and make all the money, you can still be very successful with your own first party games. And even if they cost a lot of money to make, and yeah, you have a lot of risk of in the end, that these games will make their money back and then some. And they put you on the map, and they make sure that you will be the number one console manufacturer going forward. So yeah, I mean, I at least expect that they will pivot back a little bit
Yeah.
to what they were. Yeah, so if that answers your question, Omar, that's how I view it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think especially with how quickly they've done it, like
Mhm.
how quickly we're getting cancellations, how quickly we're learning about, they X that game, that game, that game, that game. That's the only bright light I can see out of this situation is that Sony is moving quickly and not allowing it to just kind of do the Warner Brothers way, right? Where it's like, oh, Suicide Squad messed up, but we're gonna make another one. Like what? Like it's just you can
Mhm.
see them like this is a domino effect. Like okay, this isn't working. This is a lot of money. We need to reevaluate these. Maybe what we thought was good is not. And we need to go back to these studios, reevaluate, let them show us what's going on. And if it's not looking good, let's just stop. Let's just cut our losses and quit while we're ahead and just, stop with these games. And like the real question is just like how quickly or hopefully nothing happens, like I said, to the studios that are having to rework. Like hopefully they had another game, not necessarily started, but at least like in the idea phase. Like you know maybe we can make this type of game, or maybe we can do this, because having to go way back to the early stage of game development and have to come up with a fresh idea for a game is I just know they're just rolling their eyes and just like bro, we got to start from scratch again. I mean, I know that's got to be disheartening as a creator to, start a project and then all of a sudden have to scrap everything you've worked on for like 2-3 years and start the hell over. But hopefully they'll get it together. It's like we've said, it looks like PlayStation's learning their lesson. It was an expensive lesson to learn, but at least they're learning it. So that's, like I said, that's the silver lining out of this situation. PlayStation's looks like they're trying to go back to what they're good at. This is what they should be doing, focusing on single player, amazing experiences, and hopefully when it comes to, not like PS5 is done or that it's bad, but I'm just saying is at the next gen PS6, hopefully we'll see all our studios focusing on single player games. You know, uh, do your live service thing. Maybe Helldivers 3 will be that big live service hit. Okay, because y'all messed up by not putting PSN as a requirement at the beginning, because I guess y'all didn't have faith in it, so y'all didn't require PSN. When the game came out initially, and which started the whole controversy with everything.
Mhm.
So I'm sure with Helldivers 3, PSN will be required day one, and hopefully that will be the big live service hit that'll fund them. What they need for their single player games. Because I'm sure they can make it bigger and better. Hopefully not to the point that ruins the aesthetic of the game and what people like about it, but turn it into something that can at least bring some money in for PlayStation. Shoot, that's the studio y'all need to be bringing into the fold. Like y'all should have got Arrowhead before you got Firewalk, but I mean Arrowhead, maybe they just want to stay how they are, independent. But yeah, that's pretty much it for me
I have
for
a
the live service.
Yeah, that
question.
it is kind of sorry, Omar,
Now go
just
ahead.
one quickly. When you said like being confident, it is important. Like, yeah, you can be very cautious and be like, okay, yeah, let's not let's ease them in, but sometimes you just need to be very cocky and just say, yeah, we're gonna do that, and deal with it. Like, and sometimes people will respond to that like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, I like that swagger, like
Yeah,
just do it, yeah.
I have a
Okay,
sure.
go ahead,
question.
Omar.
What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on what Yoshida said about how, in order to buy to create a new game, and because of the cut of games, we should support the remake and remaster.
Well, at least for me, I knew that was a thing already. I mean, that's why I was always saying, at least when it came to like third party in particular, I was like, when people were like, I want to do this, I want to do that. And I was like, well, there's a remake. That's why you need to buy the remake. Because if you want another, they're testing the waters, one, and they're seeing, if people actually want a sequel, right? And they're seeing, they're gathering the funds to make said sequel. So that's why I was always like, okay, if y'all wanted the Dead Space, you need to buy Dead Space remake. But then people didn't really buy it. The sales didn't work. So when the original creator came back to EA and was like, hey, I want to do another Dead Space, they were like, no, because Dead Space didn't do anything. It didn't move the needle for him. So that which made it seem like people didn't want it, and then they didn't have the funds to make another Dead Space. So that's how remasters and remakes have always worked, right? So it didn't really surprise me when he said that, because I was like, that's kind of the purpose. They want to make money, like that. That's why they are remastering and remaking games that have sold really well, because those are the games that would that would particularly make more if they remastered it, right? They got if The Last of Us has a fan base of 20 million and you remaster it, that's potentially 20 million people that will buy that remaster, right? But if you remaster a game that only sold 1 million, like, you might get that mill, maybe you'll get a resurgence and it'll do even better, but it's very likely you won't get any people really buying it, because most of the people who cared about that, don't really care now, right? They've moved on.
And
But go
to
ahead.
be fair, I think he said it in the context of, yeah, the alternative is that, go full gods,
Yeah.
make service games. And yeah, I mean, if that's like, I understand why you said that, Omar. Like, I don't feel obligated to, buy a remaster or, a patch or whatever,
Mhm.
just because I want to have the next game in the series. Like, yeah, principally, it's your job, as a developer, as a publisher, to make a game and make sure that you earn enough money versus what you spend on it, that you can basically afford to make another game in that franchise. Like, I'm not responsible for your fiscal responsibility, basically, but uh like, if you're putting it in a way that, yeah, them putting out remasters or remakes, is a way for them to earn extra money, to essentially tell their internal shareholders, their management, yeah, this is a successful franchise. Yeah, we need to keep on investing in this because, it's gonna make a return on your investment. Yeah,
Mhm.
okay, fine. I'm okay with this. Like, yeah, we didn't see this. Obviously, the thing is, like, where people are saying, like, yeah, but you remember the time where we used to just, didn't have this, where you just get new games. Like, yeah, but again, like, games were obviously much cheaper to make back in the day. But on the other hand, obviously, you can't really make a remake of a game, the further you go back into generations, because, they didn't have any previous generations or iterations to
Yeah.
go back to, or the leap wasn't that big. Like, um I mean, and it still happened. Like, do remember, like, the original Zelda did sort of have a 16-bit remake. I think it was called BS Zelda, which was part of a particular extension of the SNES. So that kind of thing did happen, but not as prolific as it happens now. But part of it because it probably was cheaper to just make a new game, than just remaster it. And part of it also because of, especially with Nintendo, it was kind of hard to port games or remake them because of proprietary code that Nintendo had, that was part of the game code, which is the reason why it took so long for getting all these remakes. I think it was with the Mega Man collection where they actually figured out how to remove that piece of code. So that sort of opened the floodgates for all these collections coming out in this remastered version of classic, games, because they were rid of the sort of the ghost of Nintendo, threatening to sue them because they were using their code. Um, so that's probably part of that too, and also we shouldn't underestimate, because people are saying like, oh yeah, this is a recent thing, but if you go back to the um, uh, before the crash and before the infamous crash caused or allegedly caused by ET the game, um, that there were so many consoles before Nintendo saved gaming, and there were so many ports and versions of, and I suppose we would call them remastered these days, of games. It's not necessarily anything new. Like it's not necessarily that we're seeing a trend that never existed before. And looking back last generation, we also had a lot of remasters and remakes of games. And I mean, even if you expand beyond gaming, I mean that's the thing with with movies, like how many movie IPs get remade, or
Mhm.
get remakes, or even these days sequels with with the same actors but only like 50 years older or something like that.
Not Indiana Jones.
Yeah, exactly. Like, because audiences will respond positively towards IPs that they recognize, over, and that's a lesser risk than investing in something new.
Yeah,
Um,
that's a big
it
reason. Hmm.
Yeah, considering that game budgets rival or even exceed movie budgets these days, yeah, it's not surprising that they're moving more towards that. But in the end, like I said, like if that's sort of part of the, like, again, I agree with you, Omar. I'm not gonna be coerced in buying something just because I want to have a sequel or another iteration of that game series. But uh, like if that sort of, if I have to accept that happens, and that it's not necessarily, maybe not necessarily for me, but for people who haven't experienced the game before, or people who just want to spend the extra money, that's up to them. I'm fine with that, because it's not necessarily detracting from my experience. It doesn't mean that the games, like the sequel that I'm looking forward to, is going to get delayed, right? Or if they're working on a new IP, that's not going to happen. Like, this is sort of like uh, it's sort of the alternative to microtransactions, or like I said, games as a service, like trying to milk the franchise in different ways. Like, if this is what it is, like I said, like you played the Soul Reaver remaster, or yeah, I think it's a remaster. Um, like I said last time, like if I'm gonna get another Soul Reaver, I'm gonna be over the moon. Like, if this remaster is gonna be successful, and is gonna show the investors, okay, yeah, people really are responding positively to that. There's a demand of it. Maybe we should make another game in that series.
Hmm.
Hey, I'm fucking perfectly fine with this. Let's do more of this, because I like remaster like Parasite Eve, like, so that we can
Hey,
get
Oh
a new
yeah,
entry in the
hell
series.
yeah.
Yeah.
I am fully behind you on that front. But when they remake and remaster The Last of Us so many times, and then Horizon, I'm like, you have other IP to focus on.
Yeah,
Those other IPs aren't going to pull the same skill,
uh,
though, Omar. I think we have to look at it
uh,
seriously. Like, I know you're a
Even
fan, but we have
even
to look at it through business eyes. The
but
IPs that you like
even in
don't
business,
sell.
it doesn't make sense, because even he was surprised, which I had no idea. I'm surprised about that myself. Apparently, he is not a fan. He is also not disappointed. He's just surprised that Horizon didn't sell more. I'm like,
The
it's really.
sequel, yeah, he said the
yeah, but
sequel, not the remaster.
Omar, that should be perfectly example of why it might be necessary to have the remaster of the original Horizon, because that will increase the earnings of that IP, so that Sony will be incentivized to make Horizon 3.
Yeah. The reason I think Horizon 2 or Horizon Forbidden West didn't sell as well as Horizon Zero Dawn is because when a new IP comes out, people get excited, right? They're like, "Oh man, it's new. It's Guerrilla." And they did something different, right? They went from making a first-person shooter like Killzone to making a third-person action adventure. So everybody was on board. They're like, "Oh my god, and it's like something a new concept where you're hunting mechanical animals, dinosaurs. Oh my god. Remember the E3 trailer was crazy, right? So
Mhm.
that this switch for Gorilla, the way it looked with the Decimate engine, how crazy it looked, the E3 trailer. I think everybody was hyped and they wanted to try it out. So a lot of people tried it out, but a lot of people bought it, but maybe not all those people enjoyed it. So then you got a sequel. The sequel shows, okay, these are the people who like the franchise, right? You got for the first one was the one that kind of caught everybody's attention. Now with the sequel, you're going to see who are fans of the actual game, and that's probably why you got less because yeah, how many ever millions people bought the first one, but maybe not everybody gelled with it. So the sequel came out. They know what it is, and everybody now knows what Horizon is. They know that the concept, Aloy, she's fighting mechanical dinosaurs, cool. Now, did you like that? Okay, buy the sequel. Oh, you didn't like it? You're not gonna buy the sequel. And I think that's why it went down because not everybody liked it, and that's fine. But it definitely is still, even with the lower sales of the second one, it was still a success. It just wasn't as successful as the first, and that happens with some games. Some games do better with the sequel because it was a hit, and then other games just don't. Like maybe with Horizon 3, they'll find something, they'll do something that'll entice more people to come back. But we'll have to see. Um, but yeah, the remaster remake thing, it doesn't really bother me. It doesn't really take them long to do remasters, and it gives them a big investment on return, right? You do a upres, you do 60 FPS, you do some DualSense features, and then you can get a good return on your investment, essentially. And it helps. So I mean, this is the thing that they're doing along with live service to try to help fund these big blockbuster hits that we expect from Sony. So I'm not mad because I mean it's optional. You don't have to invest in the remaster or remake if you don't want to. But there are plenty of people who didn't play PS4 who maybe PS5 is their first PlayStation console in a while or ever, and then they'll get the best version of those games, or they'll pay $10 if you've already played it and you'll get an upres version of the game. Because you see now, because I know I see Xbox fans saying, "Oh, we don't have the remaster remakes or whatever," right? Like with PlayStation, but the way they're subsidizing it is now they're putting their games onto PlayStation. That's the way they're subsidizing the costs, or at least attempting to subsidize the cost for their games, right? The way PlayStation is subsidizing their cost is through live service, through remasters and remakes, and then by releasing on PC, a year or two later. Each company is doing different methods to subsidize the cost of increased game production, right? Um, you don't have to be a fan of it, but I mean, it doesn't really cost them much. But I think the reason you don't really like it is because it's the games that they're picking, right? That you're not a fan of. Like you don't think it should be like Horizon and stuff like that,
I love
right?
I love them. I love them. But there are other games that deserve a remake or a remaster.
I mean, I
Okay,
don't disagree with you, but business wise,
business
it
wise,
won't make them. Yeah. Like, cause I know you would like a Jack and Dexter remaster, like a Sly Cooper. And I think, with those games, they probably have to remake them because a lot of the gameplay is kind of
yeah,
older.
it's clunky, and I'm Metal Gear.
Yeah. So it probably cost them, a lot. And I don't know if they're, you know, guaranteed to get that money back. That's probably why they won't. But you never know.
I
Maybe a time will come where we'll get those. You never
think
know.
Metal Gear is gonna be an interesting one because they're revamping it from what I've seen. They really,
Are you talking about Delta?
yeah, they really overhauling the gameplay.
Oh yeah.
So it's gonna be interesting because I'm not asking like that to such degree, but if you
You
want
sound
like
far from the mic.
yeah, I have no idea what's happening with my mic today. For some reason, my PlayStation thought my mic was connected to the PlayStation. My bad.
No,
So
you're good.
I assumed okay. So it's frustrating to see them where they are right now. It's frustrating to see how many all the IPs they own and they do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna see what's gonna happen with it. One thing I'm happy with it. Look, it's gonna be controversial, but I don't beat it around the bush. I'm happy Concord failed. I'm so fucking happy Concord failed. It's not
Okay.
no. I'm not. It's not like people are afraid to mention that because jobs and stuff like that. Yeah,
But
like
wouldn't it have been good for PlayStation for it to
uh,
succeed?
it it would have if it succeeded, but because it didn't.
No, but I'm gonna say, why are you happy? Because
I'm
if it had,
happy.
well, let's say
I'm
it reached
I'm
Helldiver success, wouldn't that have been good?
it would it would be
He doesn't like the
okay.
idea of that because then that means they would just delve more into the live service.
Yeah, but
That is why
also
he's saying that.
Oh, okay, yeah.
but also in my mind I see it like this: Concord failure meaning cancellation of project. Okay, so far so good. Also meaning losing way less money than if they went full ground with it and then they had to cancel or give money back to consumer because people bought Concord, like stuff like that. Like they put all their money in the Concord basket and it bombed. And now
Yeah.
they're backtracking like no tomorrow. And the curious part is it was Concord that made them backtrack. Not Last of Us faction 2, which is that was the interesting part. It took Concord all of the sudden for them to backtrack.
Well, yeah, because at that point it was released, and then we had literally zero, not literally zero, but an astronomically low player count. So I mean, they had really no choice but to obviously close it, cancel it. And I think with that mixed with the fact that it was so expensive, when the wallet starts getting a little light, that's when they're like, okay, we got to
Yeah,
reevaluate.
hey,
Yeah.
always say it. Vote with your wallet. It doesn't
Oh
matter
yeah.
which company it is.
I think when it comes to PlayStation with because I'm sure they're still going to continue the live service in some capacity, not as crazy as they did when they first started with
Really?
18.
You
But
really think they're gonna double down like that?
I didn't say
Interesting.
double down. Double down is like insinuates that they're
Well,
going to go even
double.
harder.
So
No,
what I meant with double down in the sense of like with this failure, I expected them to
they're not going to
literally
stop.
drop out of
No,
the live service.
no.
Uh,
I don't think they're going to full stop it.
okay.
They still have Helldivers being a success, so I'm sure in their mind they're like, something could hit, right? I mean, they still have Bungie and they're still doing Marathon, right? So they still going to continue as long as they have Bungie, they're still going to continue to do live service games. So that's what Bungie is. They're a live service developer.
Do you
But
think? Oh, very quick. Do you
mhm.
think Horizon Online is gonna fail or not?
I don't have any idea of success when it comes to Horizon Online. I'm sorry, like I don't. They did the Horizon Lego spinoff that didn't catch any traction really. An online, I just so what it was gonna be like Monster Hunters Online or something like. I don't know. I just don't see it. I don't see it doing anything just because one the whether you agree with it or not, the feelings towards Horizon as a franchise is not in a positive way when it comes to a lot of gamers. And I just don't think them seeing a Horizon Online is going to be like, oh yeah, this is what we wanted. Like unless it looks like crazy good, because I don't think it's going to look like Horizon. I think it's going to look more Fortnite. And I don't know if people are necessarily going to care. I don't know. It all depends on what it is and what it's doing. Um, And that's another point that I want to bring. I think PlayStation needs to do better when it comes to like their betas, when it comes to getting players to test out the game. They had a beta for like what 2-3 weeks before Concord was supposed to launch. Like what do you learn from players when you launch a beta for an online game like right before it launches? Like no, you got to launch it like at least 2 months so people can give their player feedback and you can tweak things, right? And that's what they need to learn to do better, because honestly, from that beta of Concord and the fact that nobody was on there, including the pre-order beta is one thing, but when they had the free to play weekend and nobody came, that should have been a red fucking flag. Like you don't have to do anything to play this game, and yet it's free, but nobody's playing it. That should have been that should have waved a red fucking flag for PlayStation. Like this game is gonna come in hot. It's gonna fail. And this is what they need to do when it comes to the Horizon game, the Jade Raymond game, and Marathon. I'm sure Bungie has their own plans because they know what to do, at least when it comes to alphas and betas like that. But when it comes to the Jade Raymond game and the Horizon game and whatever other live service that the first party plans on doing, they need to make sure that it gets in the hands of players so they can give feedback. But no, I don't see the Horizon game being success. I need to see it first because like I said, I can look at a game and be like, that's a hit, and if I look at it, I'll know. I'll know. It just depends.
Yeah, technically we haven't seen it yet, and that alpha footage is not anything to go on because it's not going to be indicative of the game when we actually see it. The only thing I would say, because I didn't want to jump in while y'all were going through the myriad of thought process here, but the reality is the best thing I've heard from another podcast, where Brap had on Jaffe, is he stated one thing. Y'all kind of mentioned this, but not really. And this is why I had pulled up Marvel Rivals earlier. The thing PlayStation needs to stop trying to essentially, what you guys stated earlier, stop trying to Sony a live service game. The whole, like, no one's looking for, how the finger's on the trigger, like they do in The Last of Us Part 2. Like, you are spending too much money on a maybe. They need to learn to lighten the investment, lighten
Excuse
the
me,
work.
sir. That's literally what I said.
I'm not done. They need to, like I said, lighten the investment, lighten the work. When you look at the visual fidelity in a game like Marvel Rivals, the level of detail is good. The game looks good enough. But that's what PlayStation needs to get it more comfortable with. Good enough. This was something that Jaffe brought up specifically during the show when you're talking about subsurface scattering, all this stuff. He's like, the amount of work it takes to do one outfit in Concord is ridiculous to the level of detail and all the other crap that they were trying to go about. Meanwhile, you could spit out 15 Marvel Rival skins.
Yeah, they're going crazy with the Marvel Rival skins.
So
exactly.
You want them to
I don't want them to do shit.
Basically.
I'm telling them what they need to do. I don't give a fuck.
Okay, so they need to Nintendo it, basically.
It's not about Nintendo. This is what everybody does. But I'm showing the game on the screen for an example. Everybody can see it. This game is out right now. You can play it. Plenty of people are playing it. There's nothing insane about the visuals for this game, but it's good enough. Everything is crispy enough. Everything looks detailed enough. It has a specific, cartoonish art style.
Mm-hmm.
Again, none of this stuff, but nothing is overly detailed to the point that, spending $300 million on a game, like, you shouldn't be doing that. Like,
there's no way they spent that much on Marvel Rivals.
Yeah, not at all. That's what I'm saying.
The thing was probably the IP.
The IPs and stuff.
Paying for the IP. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the issue, right? Like, Then you look at stuff like everybody keeps asking, how do these other games keep doing it? This same thing applies to Genshin Impact. The same thing applies to
Fortnite.
Honkai Star Rail, for Fortnite. But I say less so on Fortnite because obviously, like I said, Fortnite is just headed by too many people. Like Fortnite has literally is like a tour de force of like an entire company, and no one, unless you're gonna do that, like no one's gonna do that. And the only, let's be real, the only reason it's like that is because of the success it garnered initially. So they also weren't all in on it either. You know, they were still making the Unreal Engine 5 at the time. They were doing a bunch of other stuff, and then they snapped. You know, when it did get successful. I think that's also another key point. That is a key point to take from Fortnite. When you do snap and you do get that hit, don't half-ass the support. So that's a warning to Helldivers, because you don't want to just do more of the same. You gotta give people a reason to continue playing the game, and that's where a lot of live service games falter. Is people eventually are like, okay, we're not gonna get anything new, we're not gonna do more, we're not gonna, like, nothing's cool here, you know. Like there's so many suits and alterations and stuff like that they could do that could come out for Helldivers. A lot of the suits are still too samey. They haven't expanded on the helmets. Like, again, it takes time.
They did do the crossover with Resistance, but that was really the only thing they did.
Yeah, that was about the only thing they did. And it's like, y'all got to get faster. Y'all got to build up staff or something.
Yeah, they got. Like, I think their studio's really small, so they need to start a hiring spree. Yeah. I mean, they did when the servers were down. That's when they started hiring more people, but they definitely need to become bigger. They need to at least double their size, to be honest.
Helldiver 2 need a raid.
Yeah.
So they need a raid boss, in my opinion.
Yeah, like I said, they need to lighten the initial investment is the key. But what I was saying, like I said, we've said part of that, but my key is what Jaffe actually pointed out is the issues with how PlayStation makes games doesn't work in, you know, this particular space, right? You're looking to The Last of Us or, you know, Spider-Man 2 something, and it's like, no, like I forgot how long it said that it took that woman 6 months or something, 3 to 6 months to animate like that whole scene in Spider-Man 2 where he jumped on the jet ski and kicked him. Like you can't be doing that with these types of games. That's not how they work. Like no one's taken 3 to 6 months to do anything for Marvel Rivals, you know, as far as update wise. So like I said, they need to learn to build a more flexible system and work around not being so overly detailed like that. Like I said, there's a happy medium.
That core, that is the fundamental problem when it comes to PlayStation's first party doing live service games.
Yeah.
I think that is the main issue, and why. Yeah, they have a different philosophy, and that's why a lot of the ones that are specifically made by the first parties, like you know, Blue Point and Bend and Insomniac and stuff, they're trying to like you said, replicate what they do with the single player games, and just okay, let me just copy and paste that same thing. The way I make these single player games, I'm gonna do the same way I make these live service games, and it just doesn't translate. You can't, like you said, you can't go into it thinking I'm gonna spend 2 months animating the wrist mechanic of Spider-Man, and I'm gonna do that the same thing when we make the Spider-Man you know, live service game. You know, like it just doesn't translate, and I think they're just so used to making single player games, and you have to come into a different mentality when you make a live service or multiplayer in general game, and it's just hard to turn that off. And that's why you end up with a Concord that costs $400 million.
Absolutely. And don't underestimate the strength of an IP as well, right? So let's not overstate how awesome Marvel Rivals is, because in
I'm
reality,
still surprised this is something Sony didn't think of, especially with their relationship with Marvel. They could have made a Marvel Battle Royale. Like, I don't see why they didn't. But...
Yeah, I mean, they definitely could have had the relationship with them to do this. But what my key is here is, like, this game also isn't revolutionary. It's just better than what was on the market, which is something they didn't do when they made these other games.
Like, they got the IP and even more important, like you were saying, the support. Like they're
Yeah, the
continuously
support.
updating, continuously adding new outfits. They just like, I mean, it just came
They
out and they
added like
already
a whole
released
battle
like
pass and
this
a bunch of stuff.
the second string of characters, like the fantastic the
Yeah,
fantastic team or whatever.
the
So it's
Fantastic
like they're
Four. Yeah.
continuously adding new characters, new power-ups, new outfits. Like they're making sure to give that continuous support, because like with all these live service games, the thing that kills them the most is, like you said, the lack of support and people getting bored doing the same thing. And it's just like, oh look, another update, another. Like you keep the updates coming,
And
and you keep
meaningful
people.
updates.
Exactly, and you keep people intrigued and so much so that they, oh man, I'm ready to try out this new character. Oh shit, this new character just dropped. Oh, look at their powers. I'm ready to try that out. Like that's what you have to do. You have to come in hard, and I have to give them their kudos. They came in ready to go, and they had like the thing that impressed people the most when Marvel Rivals came out is the fact that they had so many characters. They were like, oh my god, like it took Overwatch forever to get this many characters. It took like two seasons to get this many characters, but they had it out the gate. Like they were ready to go. So that's what you got to do. And I think that's why they kind of leaned on Bungie, because they thought, okay, we're kind of messing up. We're still in a single player mindset, and we need somebody who's had experience in a live service. And unfortunately, Bungie's just had, they've been going through their own problems. And
Well, that's what I was saying. They kind of caught Bungie
yeah,
at the wrong time
yeah,
because
after their prime, yeah.
you know that I played
Oh yeah, you
Destiny
played a lot of
2
Destiny.
and I quit for a multitude of reasons that Bungie was not taking care of, and then eventually they tried to do it and they're like, "Hey, look, final shape," and like most people didn't care. Doesn't matter, it was
Yeah.
one of the highest rated things that they put out. You abandoned the game. The game had cheats like crazy on PC. The player base was leaving in droves. Content was messed up or overly hard. People getting one shot and things like, again, you can't ignore the pleas and what your fan base is telling you um when you're doing these things, right? Especially when you're not giving them
Mm-hmm.
other things. Like that's how Marvel Rivals is kind of getting away with it right now, right? Like one thing people want right now is locked queues where you can queue up as a healer or a DPS or stuff like that. They said they don't want to do it. But at the same
Yeah.
time, they're giving them brand new characters, brand new battle pass, brand new season. This
He
is
said, "Don't worry
coming.
about that.
This
Look
is
over here. Look
Yeah,
over
look
here."
over here. Yeah, there's 10,000 other things coming. We're
Yeah.
giving you more and more and more and more and more. I know you want that one thing, but we don't want to do that. You can do that
Mm-hmm.
when that's very minuscule, but when you've got 10,000 problems piling up and you're like, "Nah, we're just going to focus on getting this next iteration out and charge you $100," which is what Destiny
Yeah.
2 did. And then meanwhile, PlayStation's like, "Yo, Bungie, have you look at these 15 other projects." No one cares at that point. Like they're in a
Mm-hmm.
rut. They're trying to deal with what they're trying not to, falter on their own project, and then you're trying to get them to tutor everybody else. Like again, you can't. I mean, you're only as good as the tutor you have, right? That if your tutor's failing, what are they tutoring you? like
Mm-hmm.
like that was their mistake, is overly depending on their knowledge about being live service, because Bungie had, like I said, and I could have told you this before they even purchased them, they had way too many faults, and a lot of them were not listening to the fan base. Yes, typically you don't. There's a rule that you don't go back and forth with your fan base, this and that. Fans don't always know what they want. That to a degree, right? But when your game is live service, that is quite different. There is definitely a core part of your audience that really knows the flow of the game, how it plays, and so on and so forth. And at one point, Bungie had a core team like that were from a lot of these really dedicated players that knew what players wanted, and they did an update, and it did really well. And it was based on all the feedback from a lot of these players, but from various points, right? A PvP centric people, PvE centric people,
Mm-hmm.
because you can't make one change for one and not the other, right? Again, balance.
Yeah. Side note though, shout out to the trailer you're playing. For y'all that don't know, this is The Blood of the Dawnwalker. Okay, it's being created by the director of The Witcher 3, and it looks flippin' phenomenal. So if you haven't seen the trailer for that, please
Yep.
go see it. Where the gameplay
Yep.
is being revealed this summer, so look out for that. That's probably gonna be at the summer showcase. So I'm hype about that. Absolutely. What about you, Weeb?
Do you think
I'm excited, but before I continue, I just want to comment that whatever Nate just said, I Hilarious said that. So
Yeah, he
whatever.
did.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So
but he was
Nate,
upset.
it's okay to admit that you fell asleep when I was talking.
I heard what you said, but y'all are missing the point of what I said. It's not
No,
just the
no,
but wait, it's not just the
I heard
budget.
what you said, but basically it is what I said. You're just adding more details.
That was the important part for me. I didn't want it missed. That's what my point was. Like because I like I said I heard it in the podcast the other night where Jaffe, when it comes to more detail oriented stuff about the development process and where they're
Yeah, yeah.
failing, that's what he
I
went
I
over.
I get that, but basically that's what I said. It is there. The problem was that they were trying to, like I said, Sonyfy
Mhm.
GOS games, which was not necessary to make a successful GOS game, and that's why it failed.
Yeah, but I also wanted to give people examples as to what we mean when we say
Mhm.
that because a lot of people we know what we're
I
talking
get it. I
about,
get it.
but yeah, they don't know. But anyway, yeah, we'll go ahead and get out of here because, like I said, we're approaching 3 hours and I got shit to do. So,
Yeah, he about to nap.
no, I'm about to leave. So, but yeah, we let the people know where they can find you.
You can find me on Twitter as the Weep Sheriff at Infinite Rhizome, and the same for Blue Sky, and yeah, Other Nation.
Otter Nation.
Morgan, where can the people find you?
You can also find me on Twitter at Chill Bandit. Not talking about shit, but see you guys next week. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully Sony doesn't drop any more, crazy news on us next week. But you never know.
You never
Agreed.
know.
Omar, where can the people find you?
Shout out to everyone that came through. Hit that like button, share the stream out. You can find me at Clairvoyant Job on Twitter and Vitamin G Podcast every Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. See you next week.
All right, and you can find me gaming because that's exactly what I plan to do because I'm sick and tired of not having enough time doing it. And I'm sick of not completing some of these games. So yeah, I plan to game and be left the fuck alone this week. That's what I plan to do.
Oh
So
man, he's just cranky. He's just hungry and tired. Y'all
so
forgive him.
that's the plan. So
So
y'all have a
don't
great rest
add
of
it.
your week. Yeah, don't at me at all. Not this week anyway.
Okay, I'll add him. It's okay, guys. I'll add him for you.
But yeah, shout out to Kay and her future new puppy. She's very excited getting to come home, play some games, and add a new member to her family. Again, like I said, staying out there, working hard in them streets. But with that, we'll go ahead and get out of here. Hopefully we get some actual news. Otherwise, there might not be a podcast next week, but we'll see what happens. But y'all have a great rest of your evening, and Otter Nation.
Which 3 leaks?